Welcome to part 12.2 of Nuclear Dragon. If you encounter any issues or have feedback, please let me know in the comments rather than just disliking the video. Your input helps me improve, and I'm here to make sure you have the best experience possible. Enjoy the content.
Chapter 286. The power of the gods is far from comparable to you at present. Please don't be arrogant. https:// Okay. God is great. Of course I know. But how much do you know about me? Xylem asked. Not enough information. You are a clan of giant dragons, and your current strength is a 13th level advanced. I'm such a powerful dragon, such a strong race, you can't recognize it? Sure enough, your maker is nothing more than that. Ske. Xylem shook his head with contempt. Forget it. Don't know. Forget it. The ignorant is not guilty. Xylem stopped the topic. Right. Let's continue with the previous topic. What is the King Kong orangutan that you brought me back to life mean? If I remember correctly, in this game-like world, isn't it all resurrected by itself? Why is it related to me? Xylem remembers this player, one of the players he first encountered when he came to this world. Dip? The opponent is a demonized player who mutated from your power. Because you no longer believe in the omniscient and almighty God, and the player who has been demonized cannot eliminate the demonization state and return to normal. So the omniscience and almighty cancels the instruction that consumes one's own beliefs to revive the player. The player is now in a state where the world of Dora's tomb cannot be linked because of his belief in you. You have the right to consume faith points to resurrect the believer. As Ji now spoke, a virtual screen appeared in front of Shillong. It was a picture of a person who had been radiated and mutated and was besieged by a group of people. There were many people besieged, 30 or 40, and the strength seemed to be good. The world where Shillong was before was all above level 10. A group of people surrounded the radiant people and beat them to death. What a bad luck. Is he running out of food? Xylem murmured, then thought about it again. This intellectual brain, won't it be sent by the omniscient and almighty God to cheat me for a point? But he really didn't feel the use of belief points. Anyway, these players are slowly improving. It seems that there is nothing wrong with resurrecting believers who can continue to provide him with faith. No matter how many demonized players, it doesn't seem to cause him much trouble. As these demonized players become more demonized, the more they will rely on his radiation. It's like the blue star world before Shillong crosses. Some people who inhale that will instinctively need radiation breath to ease their needs. The radiation zone that Shillong left in this world is only Blizzard City. These radiations will gradually fade as the radiation demonizes more people. In the end, these cute babies can only rely on him to survive. After thinking about this, Shillong let Ji now resurrect the player named King Kong Gorilla. The 0.4 belief deducted is nothing to him. After that, Ji now was silent. Shillong quietly glanced around. In the forest, every some distance, there will be a big tree with a magic inscription. It should be the magic circle of confusion created by the omniscient and omnipotent God controlled by his brain. Ordinary creatures cannot get close to Shillong within 5 kilometers. They will be deceived by the magic circle, so they will continue to detour nearby and finally exit. This is to prevent players from contacting Shillong, but this also follows Shillong's mind. He didn't even think about continuing to contact the players. Let them play whatever they want. Now that I have learned about this world, what good is it for me to continue to contact with ants? It's better to sleep peacefully, maybe wake up all at once. After thousands of years, you can go back to see your mother and Armin directly? In another piece of space, the omniscient and almighty God doesn't even know his greatest support and has become a 2-5 boy. He has a headache recently. Headache for those demons. Those players who have not completed the demonization before can terminate the demonization as long as one kill. But now it's different. After those players are demonized, even if they are resurrected from death, they will actually be in a demonized state. And among them, many beliefs have changed after inquiry. It has been a long time since I offered him faith. This is bad. And the players behind may learn the strength of the opponent when they fight against the demonized player. Envy and jealousy arose. Why are you so good after being demonized? Should I honestly improve my strength? The growth of this kind of emotion makes them demonize with their thoughts. The more demonized players, the less faith he gains and the more dangerous. Fortunately, it was discovered early. Otherwise, the trouble will definitely be great in the future. Regarding this matter, the great omniscient and almighty disqualified the demonized player from being resurrected. Awesome. Don't believe in the god? Then you don't even have the qualifications to improve your strength in the world of Dora's tomb. Milbo canceled the death belief supply for such players, smiled as if he had done a small thing, and flicked his clothes. Then switched the screen to browse the wonderful scenery of Dora's tomb world. The scenery is very beautiful. Most of them are in a certain room, the kind that requires a man and a woman to coexist to enjoy. As for Brother Hao, this demonization lasted 5 days. In these 5 days, in reality, Brother Hao hadn't even left the room door. Every time he had a meal, Shaoli brought him into the room. This woman was well tamed by him. In the game, Hao has been reading books and studying the changes in his body. Among them, he received a message from Brother Monkey. Tell him that he has completed Demonization 1. Ask him if he has completed it, and Brother Hao tells him that he hasn't. Afterwards, Brother Monkey told him that he could come to him after the demonization. Brother Monkey, is he telling the truth or lies? Demonized earlier than him, the progress is so slow? But is he also demonized in reality? Brother Hao actually doesn't know whether other demonized people are the same as him, and whether the demonization phenomenon in the game is synchronized in reality. This kind of demonization should only spread to reality after the demonization is successful. Otherwise, the death penalty for failed demonization cannot make reality so quiet. 5 days passed again. Brother Hao's Demonization 3 is also complete. His body has become stronger. He has a height of 2.5 meters, and his body is strong enough to compare with the strongest bodybuilding champion. The body is completely covered by red scales. If the sun shines on it, it can even reflect light. A pair of dragon wings grew out of the back. When Brother Hao used the mirror image technique to observe, he felt that he had completely become the legendary Dragon Man. Dragon people who inherit the noble blood of the demon dragon king. That's right. It is different from the inferior demonized person like the eagle head. Duan Tianhao must be the destiny of this world. Those Jiang droplets must be the blood of the demon dragon king. Brother Hao thought a lot at this time, and the plots of various novels that he had read a long time ago flashed through his mind. Protagonist. That's him. A human who perfectly inherits the power of the demon king. The current Dragon Man. His power also crossed the 10th order as he wished. 7 skeleton level. Stronger than the war emperor of the human kingdom. The power of the body cannot be described in words. At least the nearest Shaoli is more satisfied with him. To him, even more desperately. Brother Hao could see that the other party was no longer conquered by his money as before. Time is passing. On this day, Brother Hao has been thinking about how to gain stronger power. But suddenly, his body halted. I felt a different kind of breath within 1 kilometer. And there is more than one. This 1 kilometer is exactly the size of the small town he is now in. Part 2. Because he has lived here for more than 10 days, he is very familiar with the atmosphere of almost 200 people in this small town. At this time, more than 30 strange auras suddenly appeared, which naturally made him vigilant. The town itself is remote, a hiding place he personally selected. This is very abnormal. Where can so many people come to the usual town? Brother Hao's eyes looked strangely strange at once. He tilted his head and stared directly at the wall. The wall that can block the vision of mortals is useless in front of him. Looking through the wall, he scanned the surroundings. On the left, 500 meters away from him, there is a team of 5 wizards. 500 meters on the right, there is a team of 5 hunters. 5 other soldiers approached the residence quietly and surrounded him. The 3 thieves were hiding in the darkness, sneaking, seeming to be waiting for their prey. The lineup is not small. All of them seem to be unkind. Are they here to hunt him? Demon hunting? It's really funny. These guys don't know where they got the news, so they dare to come and hunt me? Hunting a tier 10 superpower? I will let these idiots know how stupid they are. Brother Hao slowly stood up from the seat, even opened the door directly and walked out of the front door. A warrior who had already been waiting at the door, without any nonsense, raised the sword and slashed towards Brother Hao. There was even a red flame burning above the sword. This is a fighter skill. Fire fiercely. There is also a thief who has been hiding, who directly showed his figure, a backhand stab, and stabbed at Brother Hao. Hao Gu looked disdainful, even too lazy to defend. Clang. Hua Lai cut on the scales of Brother Hao's head. It was like cutting on steel, making a sound of gold and iron. -1 The thief's dagger pierced the back of Brother Hao's neck fiercely, as well as the scale armor. -1 2 skills damage, but only 1 damage. The 2 players looked at the damage, horrified. How is it possible? You are a player. How can there be such a defense? My back stab hits your weak spot, the thief exclaimed. Nothing is impossible. Hao Gu faintly replied. My strength is something you will never understand. You can regard me as a devil equal to God. Brother Hao grinned, glanced at the mage and hunter in the distance at random, and said to those close at hand. He even watched the arrows in the distance hit him one by one, and magic blasted on him one by one. -12011034415. Among them was a powerful explosion magic, which was very powerful. After it exploded on Brother Hao, it even blew up all the houses behind him. But the results of the explosion left them not at all happy. The series of damage values made them desperate. When will demonized players become so strong? Just like a big boss. The explosion attracted the attention of other NPCs on the street, but these residents all ignored the fight, because the order to kill the demonized person has been issued by the all-knowing Almighty God. Everyone has the responsibility to punish the devil. What's the matter with this guy? How can my 7th order blasting magic only hit so much damage? A mage shouted in the distance. Obviously unacceptable. Attacking a demonized person who is also a player is like attacking a super boss. Only a trace of blood was lost. No, the blood bar on his head hasn't even changed at all. Because in the next second, the opponent's life recovery will replenish these lost lives. Awesome attack. It can actually kill my 51 lives. Brother Hal let out an exclamation, and then sighed, it's a pity. My life recovery per second is 56 points per second. You seem to have done useless work. Why? How could there be such a strong demonized player? The wizard in the distance was inexplicably shocked, but immediately a hunter yelled, don't be afraid, everyone. He is absolutely impossible to have such a strong. This is intimidation. This is definitely an advanced life-saving skill. Maybe the duration is only a few seconds. There was a terrible sound of breaking wind. They were still at the door before, and the demonized man tens of meters away in front of them was gone. Where? Why disappeared? Is it teleport? Did you hide behind the house? The hunter who spoke before said uncertainly. Here yo, a voice rang from the hunter's ear. Because of the distance, a scorching breath fell straight on the hunter's neck. It was shock and hurt. The hunter only felt like someone had poured a cup of hot water on his neck. It was so hot that he instinctively screamed. He instinctively turned around and jumped, and he saw the person who was tens of meters away was already standing in front of him. Take advantage of his skill cooling. Attack. He must have used the teleport skill just now. In the hunter's scream, other players just wanted to attack, but the demonized person in front of him disappeared again. Appeared at the top of a house. There! A player shouted immediately. All players switched targets, but immediately, the targets on the roof disappeared again. Appeared beside a mage. Here, Brother Howe's heat sprayed on the wizard again. The mage player screamed like the hunter. Before they changed their goals, Brother Howe disappeared. His body image can teleport indefinitely, once appearing on the left side of all players, once on the right side, and once again in the middle, like a play. The voice of the demonized player came from all directions. Weak? It's too weak. You are so weak. Dare to challenge the strongest dragon man? Ignorance is your greatest stupidity. Every time I move easily, in your eyes, it is also like a teleport. I stand still. None of you can kill me. Even as long as I push hard, you will die instantly. In the last sound of breaking through the air, there was a loud noise of pong. It's like something has been blown up. Like this. I wave my hand lightly, and you will die. The demonized house stopped in front of the hunter before, and a large dragon arm had replaced the hunter's head. It is full of red and white things. A big injury floated from the hunter's headless body. Minus 184,265. 180. 000 damage? A headshot? A thief exclaimed, I'll go to him. What kind of is this? Is the gap so big? Still playing Nima? After the thief had finished speaking, he turned and wanted to run away. But the next moment, the other players who were still alive saw his head burst like a watermelon. This killing technique frightened some NPCs who were watching the excitement. They never expected the battle between the destiny to be so and terrifying. Although it will disappear soon, even if this picture only lasts for a few seconds, it is still as terrible to the NPCs in these small towns. This makes them turn around and run. Brother Howe ignored the NPCs who ran away, but he saw that the players also ran with him, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Run? How could you run away? Pong, pong, pong. The sound of breaking through the air and the sound of head bursting sounded one after another. Soon the whole audience was quiet, and the town seemed to be quiet again. Brother Howe looked at the players who turned into white light and left. Looking into the distance, he looked at the distant sky in deep thought. Now his progress is Demonization 3, but there is Demonization 4 on top. It is the Iron Demon Tiger and Flame Demon Dog that we saw before. The strength of the 3 demons of his own is now equal to these 2 monsters. What kind of power should the Demonization 4 have? How strong is the strength of Tier 11? Demonization 4 is imperative. No one can stop him, but how can he advance to Demonization 4? How can we continue to improve our strength now? Perhaps only to find the Demon Dragon King, Sillen Soderbergh. But is it too difficult for one person to find it? Brother Howe thought for a long time, and finally thought of the former Eagle Head. Don't they have a magic organization? Part 3. He hadn't been demonized in reality before, and he was not interested in this kind of nature. But now it's different. He already knows that the world will change drastically, whether it's a game or reality. Just because people who have been demonized will no longer be recognized by humans as the same race. It is estimated that it will not be long before he will encounter endless troubles when his identity is exposed in reality. The most urgent task now is to find some real people. Enter the ID of the eagle head person. A name called Wang Chong Tianxia jumped out of it. Whose real name is Wang Chong. Dominate the world mean? Brother Hao chose to add, and entered the adding information by the way. Hello, Eaglehead. I am a Duan who met you in the pothole before. A Duan is the name Hao told him before. Ding, the other party has added you as a friend. You can chat now. Oh, I'm going. So you are Brother Hao, the first mage. Good for you. Good for you. Wang Chong, the chief eagle, sent a message. The first mage? Now it has been returned to the witch saint. After all, we are no longer subject to professional restrictions. Brother Hao replied. Haha, that's right. The number one among the players has no meaning to us. Now we can all squeeze them to death at will. By the way, didn't you tell me about the organization before? I thought about it later. We have been people on the same boat since the beginning of demonization. You can think so, brother. Do you want to join the organization now? Yes. That may have to wait a while. I have some trouble here. Question mark. There is another brother on my side who wants to join the organization. This will be chased down. I'm going to save him. I'm still on the way. Have you been hunted? Where? Are you going to help? Yeah, they are all my own brothers. I can help as long as I can. Okay, brother, you are here. We two 8th level boss level demonized people. No matter who is chasing and killing, I believe it can be done easily. Coordinate. XXXX, XXXX, XXXXXX. Almost there. Brother Hao closed the chat, turned his body 30 degrees to the left, calibrated his position, and then gave him a hard kick. Boom. In an instant, he rushed out like a rocket. A large pit several meters long was exploded in the ground with a roar. Hula la, the wind whizzed in Hao Ji's ear, cutting his body like a sharp blade. But his body is not worse than steel. How can he be afraid of these wind blades? Letting the wind blade cut, Hao Ji's wings fanned, and he moved away. He is like a red comet, galloping at a speed of nearly 200 meters per second. Ha 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 ha, Brother Hao laughed wildly, and it was the first time that he was flying so freely, compared with the slow flying spells of the previous wizards. This is what a real man should look like now. The rumbling sound echoed in my ears. Brother Hao, who was thousands of meters away, looked at everything on the ground as small as ants. But on the contrary, the enchanted pupils allowed him to clearly see everything below. This feeling is quite strange. Demonized? Demonized? This should be evolution. The most correct way of human evolution. Brother Hao kept maintaining this speed, and slammed into a flying monster. It was a tier 6 monster, but after Brother Hao hit it, the monster exploded instantly. The body was torn apart like being hit by a shell. Ha ha ha, Brother Hao's wild laugh has been echoing in the sky. Crushing the monster, the pieces of meat and blood clots still stuck to the body were blown away in an instant. He is extremely fast, but in about 10 minutes, he crossed a distance of 100 kilometers Wuxieworld.online to reach the destination coordinates. Gathered and looked down. I saw no one on the wilderness of coordinates. He swept around and saw a large number of people nearby. A guy in a cloak is currently running away, and behind him, followed by dozens of players. It should be this? My goal. Brother Hao thought to himself, and quickly swooped down. On the ground, the man in the cloak ran wildly. Although there are only dozens of players behind them, all of them are not simple. They have all been cast accelerated spells. There is a green wind flowing between the legs, and each step is over 2 meters away. 6 or 7 hunters were very fast, clinging to the position of 50 to 60 meters behind the fugitive. While they are following closely, there is still time to bend their bows and arrows. Bullet-like bows and arrows swished towards the cloak man in front. Plutonium Dragon Field. Chapter 287. Pong Pong Pong. The moment the arrow hit the cloaked man, a large number of dark blue ice crystals appeared immediately behind the cloaked man. The arrow shot into the ice crystal and instantly lost its momentum. 1, 2, 3. These arrows all enter the sea like a stone cow, but until the 6th arrow shoots into the ice crystal. Pong. The ice crystal exploded. The last arrow hit the cloak man's cape hard. Blast the cloak. A steel helmet was exposed inside. Fuck. There is an iron helmet inside. Ugh. I say, brother in front. Don't run away. Stop quickly and let us kill it. You can't run anyway. It's the same if you die sooner or later. Hurry up and go back to the ranks of normal players. Demonization has no future. The all-knowing and almighty God has issued an order to chase you down. So what does he insist on demonizing? The hunter behind him shouted. So cautious about this dog day. How can the average player wearing a hood still wear a helmet inside? When will I spin with him? Call Lao Tzu to commit suicide? Fuck your dog. Why don't you die? Son of a bitch. I tell you, I am the brother of Duan Tianhao, the first mage. If you mess with me like this, I will definitely let you not get mixed up in the game in the future. I can't get mixed up in reality. The escaping man roared loudly. Duan Tianhao? There are more than 50 brothers together. No one is useless. Kill your bounty. I'll take it. The hunter behind him roared wildly. Another series of arrows flew to the demonized player in front. This player is also very skilled, one sideways avoiding 4 arrows, but still 3 shots on the armor. There was a bumping sound. A kind of energy attached to the arrow passes through the armor, directly hitting the body inside. Only 7 out of 10 of the life on the head of the demonized man would drop January 10th again. Grass the grass. How come the organizers are not there yet? If this continues, I will be finished. The demonized man shouted. You're done. What a fart, shouted the person behind him. Brother Hao has been following hundreds of meters above these people at this time, and his hearing is also good. He can hear everything these people say clearly, especially the demonized person who ran away. The voice is very familiar. He followed for a while, and then judged the identity of this person. Brother Monkey. It must be him. Knocking and cheap guy. But is this guy a bit miserable? Was chased by a group of ordinary players? Brother Hao laughed secretly in his heart and listened to the other side's horrible howls, and saw that his life had fallen to 2/5 before he suddenly rushed down. Boom. With a loud noise, the chasing soldiers saw the demonized man on the way ahead, as if a meteorite suddenly landed, and a figure stood upright. This figure is tall and mighty, with wings on its back, dragon horns on its head, blood red and pitch black. Dozens of chasing soldiers stopped immediately, opened their formations, and maintained a certain combat distance. The mage in the back slammed it by a probe. Damn, brothers. This is another demonized player. The mage yelled with excitement. Another one? The hunter who had been talking before showed joy. This is what the demonized player said before. The organizer? Ha ha ha. This is really interesting. It's best to come all of them. Go. I'll kill them all. Hey, doesn't it matter? These demonic players are strong. Just the previous one, the strength feeling can be compared with the 7th and 2nd skeleton level boss. If it weren't for the large number of us, we would have been overturned one by one. Some people are worried. It doesn't matter. We have more than 50 people. Let's give him another 7th order boss. The hunter believed himself. So far in the game, all players have known the power of demonized players, and those who dare to hunt down demonized players are naturally not mediocre. With a team of 50 people, the best is tier 5, and the strongest is him. The famous rank 7 hunters on the leaderboard play high. Was it a vain name? When these people communicated, Brother Hao also communicated with the people he considered Brother Monkey. I saw the demonized player whose whole body was wrapped in armor, turning his head and looking at it with a roar behind him. The moment he saw Brother Hao, he shouted, Brother, are you the brother of the Devil Dragon Palace? You are here to save me. I will be killed if one step later. Don't be so anxious, Brother Monkey. Brother Hao smiled and turned around, not caring about showing his back to the enemy. Oh, how do you know? Wait, you are Brother Hao. The eyes in the helmet of Monkey Brother were bright, staring at Brother Hao closely. But suddenly he looked behind Brother Hao and said in shock, Behind you. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The sound of several arrows breaking through the air sounded. It's me. I didn't expect that we were a team before. Now we are demonized and we have joined an organization, Brother Hao said with a smile, ignoring the abnormal noise behind him. Clang clang, the arrow hit Hao Ji's body with a crisp sound. A series of damage appeared. The highest was only 2 to 30 points of damage. This surprised the people in the demon hunting group, but they thought it was a demonized skill defense effect. But the effect was very concealed, just like the previous Monkey Brothers' demonized skill. So they are not afraid, but are more vigilant and scattered. The priests who arrived one by one quickly picked up the buff. Damn, great. Brother Hao. Brother Hao gave a thumbs up to Brother Hao. Before you used to have powerful spells, now you are so strong in defense. This is going against the sky. Haha, it's a trivial matter. Brother Hao smiled. Right. Brother Hao, this is to rescue me. Shouldn't it be the guy codenamed Eagle Headman? Why did you change to you? I knew him before, and now I happen to be looking for him. He told me that he wanted to come over to protect you, so I came. Ah, it turned out to be like this. Brother Monkey laughed. But the way you look demonized is really cool. It feels much better than me. Ha ha ha. Brother Hao will be here. Our brothers must teach them how to behave. Brother Hao will be confident and arrogant, and walk towards Brother Hao. When the two stand in a straight line, Brother Hao thinks he will launch a counterattack. Brother Monkey suddenly whispered to him, Brother Hao, do you have a large blood bottle? I'm out of medicine. Relieve. Brother Hao gave him a silent look. Brother Hao, don't look at me like that. You know I am careless. I often forget to take medicine when I go out. Brother Monkey said with an embarrassing smile. Okay. Brother Hao wouldn't care about this either. He took out a bottle of scarlet from the space equipment and handed it to Brother Monkey. But the hunter on the opposite side saw the new demonized person with sharp eyes and handed the bottle of blood to the other. How could this work? Immediately, a powerful shot an arrow, almost in a tenth of a second. The arrow shot 30 meters away, in front of the blood bottle in Brother Hao's hand. Just as he was about to shoot through the blood bottle, a palm covered with dragon scales appeared, an arrow pinching the arrow. It was the palm of Brother Hao. Damn! Brother Monkey was taken aback and cursed. These bastards actually want to explode my blood bottle. Isn't it too wicked? While talking, he quickly took the blood bottle and drank it. His health was restored for a half. After that, he looked at the opposite, the demon hunting group that was still arrogant before, and at this time, each of them looked extremely solemn. Looking back at the arrow in Brother Hao's hand again, Brother Monkey gave a thumbs up. Brother Hao, great. It's okay. Brother Hao smiled. He enjoys the compliments of others. He likes these licking dogs constantly licking him. This feeling really makes people never get bored. The left hand holding the arrow flicked. Sa. The arrow hit the throat of the hunter who shot the arrow before. In. Part 2. The hunter pointed at Brother Hao, unable to even speak. His eyes were so shocked, he never dreamed that he would be killed by a spike. I'm a hunter of rank 7. After he disappeared, the members behind him were even more shocked. It's not good. Boss got a second. Everyone run. With an exclamation, these group members immediately scattered and fled. Rustle, the sound of breaking through the air became one piece, but less than 10 seconds. None of the 50 players who wanted to escape before survived. All gone. It wasn't until all players were killed in seconds that Brother Hao stopped beside Brother Monkey. He pretended to pat his clothes. This is ordinary clothes, basically without any combat ability. Just to make myself look cooler. The eagle head guy is really slow. I came from 100 kilometers away and killed these players again. I haven't seen him yet. How? Brother Hao, awesome. Brother Monkey was dumbfounded. I only hate that I read less. Even if I have millions of flattery in my heart, I don't know how to shoot. Only a great sentence can express the exclamation in the heart. Haha, it's okay. Brother Hao smiled. Let's go to the place where the coordinates are XXXXXX. That is the place where I agreed to meet with the eagle head. It's all arranged by Brother Hao. Brother Monkey said. The two walked back. As he walked, Brother Monkey couldn't help but ask, Brother Hao, you are too strong, right? What order is it now? I thought I was already strong enough for the 7th and 2nd skeleton level, but I didn't expect it. Comparing with Brother Hao, it's simply the Hao Yue of Inghua. Ashamed. Ashamed. The first time you mutate 7th and 1st skeleton level, it should be pretty good. You don't have to compare with me, don't want to think about who I am? I am Duan Tianhao. From birth, he was destined to be a man who has attracted worldwide attention. In addition, I am already a tier 3 demonized human, at this stage, tier 10 and 7 skeleton level. Brother Hao didn't mean to hide anything now. Now he has enough strength to show his power to the world. 10 level? 7 skeleton level? Brother Monkey was the boss with staring eyes. Brother, are you kidding? How could the player be so strong? And how did you get to demonization 3? Do we count the players now? I'm afraid it's not anymore. Not even humans. Haha. Demonizing tier 3 is also quite simple. You are my good brother, so naturally I will not hide it from you. Demonizing tier 2 is exactly what you told me before. Just stay in the pit of demonization 1 for a long time. As for demonization 3, haha, how brother said that. He sold it and laughed. How about demonization 3? How about Brother Hao? I will definitely be your most loyal little brother in the future. Brother Monkey was a little worried and grabbed Brother Hao's arm with his big hands. He used to be much stronger than Brother Hao, but now he is much shorter than Longhwa's Brother Hao. This will grab the arm. If there are outsiders, I think it is a female player who is acting like a baby to her boyfriend. Of course, the premise is that Brother Monkey's appearance is more feminine. How Brother Hao looked at the other party's twinkling eyes, a bit of chills in his heart, and quickly broke free. Okay, just tell you, don't pull it. Do you remember the sun droplets that the Devil Dragon King gave us before? Of course. Didn't I sell you to Brother Hao? As soon as Brother Monkey heard the water droplets from Jiang, let alone how happy he was smiling. It sold for tens of millions in 1 drop before. As long as you eat the water droplets of the sunshine, you can mutate. I swallowed all the droplets of the sunshine that were previously smelted in the legendary staff gemstone, and it was demonized to the 3rd level. Haha. I'm sure that the water droplets of Jiang must be the blood in the body of Silent Soderbergh's dragon. Otherwise, there will be absolutely no such magical power. Demonization 1, Demonization 2. As long as you accept the remnants of his power to advance, but Demonization 3, you can only get his blood. As for Demonization 4, I guess it may require more blood. Huh? Demonization 3 needs water droplets from the sun? The blood of the Demon Dragon King? Brother Monkey's complexion changed drastically. The original blue face became gray. There was a dead gray in his eyes. It's over. It's over. It's so expensive, I definitely can't afford to demonize it. Regarding the state of Brother Monkey, Brother Hao said he was helpless. Although he only used 3 drops, the other drops had already been melted into the previous wand. These few drops are basically hopeless. After all, the stick body is to integrate. And what's inside the gem is just embedded. As for the water droplets from other people in the team before, who knows whom to trade to? Brother Monkey walks like a dead parent, walking back with a dead face. After that, I met several players on the road, and they were beaten to death by the monkey brother wailing before they waited for the opponent to attack first. While he was beating, he kept cursing in venting style. Go back to the coordinate point. Waited again for about 5 minutes. The eagle-head Wong Chung finally arrived. After landing from the sky, he fell in front of them. Somewhat unexpectedly, he looked at Brother Monkey with a dead face, and Brother Hao with a smile on his face. You two, the demon hunting group should be eliminated, right? Why are you still so sad? The eagle-head asked curiously. The demon hunters are wiped out, but my heart is also dead. Brothers, do you know? We will never be able to advance to Demonization 3. Brother Monkey said. The eagle-head was taken aback. What do you mean? Brother Monkey glanced at Brother Hao. Brother Hao nodded slightly. If you want to demonize 3, you have to prepare 30 to 40 million union coins. Brother Monkey cried. The eagle-head was also dumbfounded. What the hell? Why does Demonization 3 cost so much money? Does Jiang Waterdrop know? Very familiar. My Brother Hao's legendary staff was made from it. Brother Hao drank 3 drops of Jiang water droplets, and it turned into what he is now. 3rd order. The eagle-head was silent. He glanced at Brother Monkey and then at Brother Hao. Brother, don't be so pessimistic. Just find His Royal Highness the Dragon King. All problems will be solved. Then, have you found it? I haven't heard from him on the forum. Hey brother, don't be so pessimistic. Try to look forward. Believe that the future is beautiful. Ingshou patted Brother Monkey on the shoulder. Then he looked at Brother Hao with both eyes. Perfect. Look at the eyes. Look at the dragon horns. Look at the robust body. Look at the solid dragon scales. Is this Demonization 3? It is perfect. I can fully feel the tremendous power in it. Brother Hao, you are too hanging. The eagle-head man said obsessively. At the end, I actually wanted to touch Brother Hao's scales. Hey, stop. Brother Hao quickly blocked each other with one hand and quickly changed the subject. Now Brother Monkey and I are going to join you. Can you take us to the organization's base? Of course it can. The eagle-head suddenly stopped his obsession with a straight face. Then take off. I will take you over now, the eagle-head said, and he wanted to pick up Brother Monkey on one side. But Brother Monkey quickly stepped aside. Don't. I don't want you to hold. I want Brother Hao. The eagle-head was helpless. I don't care. Brother Hao. Brother Monkey looked at Brother Hao with watery eyes. Brother Hao was slightly silent. Then he hugged each other and rose into the sky. The eagle-head grinned and smiled silently. His huge wings shook and rushed into the sky with a swish. They flew for 30 to 40 minutes before they reached the base. This is mainly because Brother Hao brought the monkey brother to drag the oil bottle, and every time the speed was fast, he couldn't bear the wind cutting like a knife. For this reason had to slow down. Part 3. Boom. Boom. 2 landing noises sounded. Brother Hao and eagle-head landed on a wilderness. It looks very deserted, and it is difficult to see a green plant every kilometer. The eagle-head took Brother Hao and landed here. This is our base? That where is it? Brother Monkey scratched his head. Take a look at the left. Take a look at the right. The earth is bare. Nothing. Come with me. The eagle-head didn't explain too much, but walked to the left. It stops until you reach a barren grassland. That's it. This wasteland. Just stand up and stomp on it 3 times. As the eagle-head spoke, he stood up. His eagle feet stomped heavily on the ground. Originally, with his strength, he could definitely make a few deep footprints, but this time nothing changed. After the 3 steps, the harpy disappeared in front of Brother Hao. Wow. High-tech. Brother Monkey screamed, then followed and stepped on 3 feet, and then disappeared. Finally, it was Brother Hao. He thought for a moment, then stepped forward and stepped 3 feet. Then the light and shadow in front of him flowed. When I saw the front of him again, he had already arrived inside a palace. Stone pillars support the top. On each stone pillar, there are several chandeliers emitting light, lighting up the entire space. Nevertheless, there is still a feeling of coldness here. The space looks quite open, and there will be a room every other distance. But there were very few people here, at least very few walking outside. Brother Hao only saw 2 demonized people talking beside a pillar. One of them, who looked like a ooze monster, looked at the 3 Hao brothers who came suddenly and said, Hawk2, is this the new brother? Yes, they are all masters. Ingshoren responded with a smile. Master, I really envy it. Ooze seemed a little weak when she spoke. Brother, don't be so discouraged. The eagle head comforted. Hey, how can you not be discouraged? See if you are looking at me. The same as demonized. You are 8th and 1st skeleton level, mighty and majestic. I'm rank 5 and 1 skeleton, and I don't even have a personal shape. Brothers, you know, I am like this. How can I find a girlfriend in the future? I'm done. Those women can't accept what I am now. I am only 18 years old in reality. I have never tasted a woman. Before, I just thought that demonization was interesting, but I thought it was also demonized in reality. Now that I want to change back, I can't change back. Oh, I'm so miserable. The slime monster started crying as he said. The silt on the top of the head fell drop by drop. After falling to the bottom of the feet, it poured back into the body, and so on. Brother, don't cry. Maybe some women like yours? Full body coverage. I will love you. Nothing is absolute. Look at it. The eagle head continued to comfort. Woohoo, my god. It turns out that demonization can be demonized like this. It seems that my demonization is still very good. Brother Monkey took out the mirror from the space equipment. Look at yourself carefully. Except that the skin turned blue, it didn't seem to have changed much. The most important thing is that the baby of a man is still there. Brother Ho glanced at the ooze monster with some sympathy, and then at the eagle head. This guy mutated into this look, although not good, but at least the baby is there. I really envy you. There is at least one entity. I don't even have an entity now. I can't eat, drink, or hold a girl. Even the most basic traditional craftsmanship of being a man has been lost. Oh life, why is it so difficult? Beside the ooze monster, the white shadow spoke like a ghost. Brother, sorry. For this big man, the eagle head didn't know how to comfort him. Don't worry, I'm very strong. At least I don't have to worry about being malnourished because of the temptation of the five-finger girl, said the pale shadow. Brother Hao looked at these two guys and fell silent. Wuxia world. Online it's miserable. Are these demons so miserable? Not to mention weak, even the girl will be gone in the future. Alas, fortunately, Lao Tzu is the protagonist of destiny. You don't have to worry about me, go to Brain. Let him record information for you, and he will be his own in the future. The white shadow reminded. Okay. The eagle head nodded. Then he took Hao Gu and Ho Gu to continue walking in. While walking, Brother Monkey couldn't help asking, I said, brother, where is this place? How could the wasteland before be like a space portal? In the blink of an eye, we arrived at a strange place.
Loving the audiobooks? Your support on Patreon helps me keep them coming. Check out the link in the description. A huge thank you for your support. Now, let's dive into the next chapter.
Chapter 288. This is indeed a portal. It was made by a brother in the organization codenamed Gate. Right now, we are 100 meters underground. This palace was made by a brother codenamed Artisan. Ha, not bad. There are many talents in the organization. Really? They are all talents. Brother Monkey's eyes lighted up, as if thinking of something. One is engaged in construction. The other is engaged in transportation. I rely on. They are all rich industries in reality. Where are these two brothers? I want to cooperate with them. Open a real estate business in Wancheng. It must be overwhelming. Drive another Shuangguang. Cross 100 miles in 1 second. Feel free to go down the wind. Oh my god. This is the rhythm of getting rich. Brother Monkey thought a lot for a while, and he couldn't recognize the beauty and laughed. Brother, you think too much. Just our current virtues are exposed in reality. I'm sure the Alliance will send troops to attack us. Don't you believe it? Don't talk about getting rich then. It would be nice if you still have life to eat. The eagle head replied. Brother Monkey also swallowed the next words. Won't keep going like this? I don't want to keep going like this. Don't worry. Of course it won't continue like this. As long as we can find His Royal Highness the Dragon King, the real world will be ours. Think about it. Those demonized 3. Demonize the power of 4 monsters. As long as I can become demonized tier 4, maybe I can also have the power of order 10. This kind of power, even in reality, can be an enemy of one person. As long as this kind of power is more, it is still used to fear the Alliance. The eagle head said proudly. What you said makes sense. Brother Monkey seemed to be persuaded, applauded again and again, his eyes filled with light. Then how many people are there in our organization? There should be 1,000, right? How many tier 10 bosses are there? Are there 10? Huh. The eagle head was taken aback. Brother, how can there be so many people? We are now an underground organization, not suitable for exposure. After all, compared to our enemies, we are still too weak, whether it is reality or game. How many people are there? 87. Count you. Why is it so? Brother Monkey was stunned. Brother, we are an underground organization. An underground organization. How can it be so easy to secretly pull people? The eagle head had a headache. What about the tier 10 boss? No. What about the ninth order? No. Huh? Why don't you even have a tier 9? You still have to rely on my brother to support you. Hey brother, how is awesome? As the monkey brother said, he wanted to go to How Brother again. However, How Brother's sturdy arms held his head, and he couldn't make any progress. That can't be said. Although the Duantian How Brothers have demonized tier 3, they are not necessarily much better than the strongest tier 8 and 9 skeleton level bosses here, right? The eagle head said. Level 8 and level 9 skeletons? That's too weak. My big brother is a level 10 super boss. You know? Brother Monkey looked proud, as if he were the boss. The footsteps of the eagle head who had been walking came to a halt, and he looked back at the two behind him with a stupefied expression. You are? Sure. Aren't you kidding me? Hey, will I lie to you? Brother Monkey murmured. But the eagle head didn't listen to his nonsense, just stared at Brother How closely. It is indeed tier 10. In fact, I concealed it from you before. When I first met, I had tier 8 and 2 skeletons. The second demonization was tier 9, and the third time I stepped directly into tier 10 domain. Brother How nodded. Really? The eagle head was a little unbelievable. In the next moment, the How brother who was still in front of him suddenly disappeared. With his eagle's super dynamic vision, only a flash of afterimage was seen. Immediately afterwards, he felt a light or heavy pat on his shoulder. A huge, evil thought instantly wrapped him, as if as long as there was a slight change, the hand on the shoulder would turn into a sharp knife, and he would cut his neck directly. How do you feel? The voice behind him said lightly. This is extremely familiar, belonging to Brother How's voice. The eagle head turned his neck stiffly, looked at the calm-faced brother, carefully looked at the other's figure again, and said, You? Maybe the life that perfectly inherits the power of the Dragon King. You are now called the Demon Dragon Man. Although I don't know how strong you are, you definitely have the power to kill me. Amazing. Let's go. Continue to meet the people you want us to see. Brother How said, Let's go. A smile was put on the face of the eagle head. Such a strong person is his own, and he is full of confidence in the future. Walked a little bit. Everyone came to the door of the room marking 101, and the eagle head raised his claws and patted it lightly. Come in. A calm male voice came from inside. Go. After receiving the signal, the eagle head opened the door handle and walked in with Brother How and Brother Monkey. Inside, in the impression of Brother How, the living room of an ordinary house is not much different. A table and a few chairs do not have much space, but it is also enough to accommodate a few people, and there is a door inside, which should be used for rest. At the table, there is a person sitting. This person's head is very big, at least 3 or 4 times that of an ordinary person, with green veins exposed on it, and it looks really hideous. Originally only the size of an ordinary person, under his super huge head, the whole body looked a little weak. The eagle head did a great job. You brought 2 new people to the organization. Come on. Everyone is brother. Sit down quickly. The big head smiled at everyone. The 3 tables and chairs that were originally next to the table suddenly drifted up on their own and came under the buttocks behind the 3 How brothers. The eagle orc sat down directly. Then the tables and chairs floated back to their original positions. Huh? Is this the ability to read? Brother Monkey asked strangely. This kind of ability is quite common in general film and television works, but it is a rare ability among demonized people. It is different from the common powers of flame, ice, thunder, and physical enhancement. Fine. Please sit down, everyone, said the big-headed man. Brother Ho and Brother How nodded and sat down directly, and the chairs returned to their original positions. A table with only 1 person would be full. Everyone. The group welcomes you to join. I am the codename Brain, and the one who introduced you to join is the Eagle Headman of the organization. This is the codename that every member of the organization will give in order to be easily called outside. After all, we and humans are now 2 races. Did you start this by yourself? I feel pretty good. Brother Monkey said. Yes, you can name it yourself. It's best to start with your own characteristics and abilities. It will be easier to remember. Then call me Dark Ice. My ability is related to ice. Brother Monkey said with a smile. Brother How fell into a brief contemplation, and everyone around him focused on him. Brain. Looking at the appearance of Brother How, he was a little surprised and said, This brother, the appearance after demonization is really enviable. He is like a dragon king. This should be the legendary Dragon Man, right? He was red as a fire, so he called Red Dragon Man, right? What do you think, brother? Crimson Dragon? It feels good. Brother How muttered. Originally, he wanted to say that he belonged to the Demon Dragon, but considering that it overlaps with the Demon Dragon King, who knows what others will think, Chi Dragon people, just Chi Dragon people, then it's a happy decision. The brain smiled. Next, I will tell you the significance of the establishment of the organization and what we have to do now. First of all, as demons, we are completely incompatible with ordinary humans. We are solo travelers who have no turning back. Part 2. Our individual strength may be very strong, but in front of players and all enemies in reality, we must belong to the absolute weak. They have billions, and how many are we now? There are less than 100 in the organization. Even if you add other places, I think it will not exceed 10,000. So we are weak, and we must be careful. Especially recently. Do you know? After some demonized players were killed in the game, they never appeared again. But I relied on my demonized ability to find them in reality. They were not exposed, not like some hapless ones, and were caught as mice. But they just can't log into the game. This is strange. Even I don't know why. Obviously some people can continue to be resurrected. Can't be resurrected? When will the demonized person be resurrected? Brother Monkey was taken aback and asked. About 4 or 5 days ago. At that time, I seemed to have died once. I had just completed the first stage of the demonization. I wanted to go to the pothole to try the second-order demonization. Who knows if I met a group of players besieging me. Killed on the spot. However, I was able to go online directly after a 2-day rest. Later, I was cautious until I suddenly received a letter from you. Right? The above gave me a way to contact the Eagle Head. Then there is the meeting now. Brother Monkey talked about his situation. I sent someone to release that piece of paper. My ability to find companions is not very efficient. The brain continued. It's really weird. Everyone is demonized. But why are they? People can continue to resurrect, but some just can't? For this reason, our organization has recently lost several people. The brain said a little helplessly. Recently, whether it is an NPC or a player, the effort to chase us has been much greater. Oh, it doesn't seem like I am uncomfortable alone. I thought I would get better if I found the organization day. Brother Monkey hugged his head with a headache. A line of tears slowly shed. I used to bully others. How can anyone bully me? When will this day end? Find your Majesty the Dragon King. We can stand up. Yes. Only His Majesty the Dragon King can save us. Did you see the power of Tier 13? One attack can wipe out everything within 100 miles. Let thousands of creatures go to hell. This is the power we need to find. The brain seems a little excited when it comes to this. I have good news for you. A few days ago, I had found a place similar to the pit in Blizzard City. Someone has now been sent to investigate the situation. Maybe we will be able to find His Majesty the Dragon King soon. Really? Brother Monkey stopped crying and looked at his brain expectantly. I don't need to deceive my brother, the brain said here. Suddenly he was shocked. Looking to the side of the midair, you should be looking at friend information. Suddenly his brow frowned. Brain, is there any trouble? Is there any brother who has been hunted? Tell me the address. I will save them. I was sent out to find your Majesty the Demon Dragon King. After this team arrived at the destination, they stayed there for a day and almost rummaged through the entire lot. They still didn't find the Majesty Demon Dragon King. Moreover, they also attracted the attention of demon hunters, and the battle started. The complexion of the brain is a bit ugly. This has just been bragging in front of the new brothers. Will be beaten in the face? Is this too difficult? After listening to Brother Monkey, his face hurt. So what I just said was bullshit. Tell me the address. I'll go to support there and look for His Majesty the Dragon King by the way. With my supervision from the sky, I don't believe that anything can escape my eyes. The Eagle Head people are full of confidence. The address is XXXX, which is more than 200 kilometers away from here, and there are many people in the demon hunting squad this time, and even NPCs have been dispatched to encircle and suppress. Our people should not last long. Is it more than 200 kilometers? Even at my speed, it will take close to an hour to fly past. The Eagle Chief analyzed. It should be in no hurry. The news says that the demon hunting group is very strong this time. Among our people, we have started to reduce staff. The brain's expression was solemn. Before you passed, our people would never hold on to time. Then I want to go there too, even if it's just to find the Dragon King. This is the only information in more than 10 days, so I can't let it go. Yeah. The brain nodded finally. The Eagle Head was ready to bid farewell to everyone and head to the destination. But at this time Brother House spoke. I'll go too. Huh. The Eagle Head was taken aback, and then the feathers on the eagle's face shook, showing a smile. Okay. Oh? Are you going to go out as soon as you enter the organization? I haven't finished the rules yet. The brain looked at Brother How unexpectedly. It doesn't matter. You can listen to the rules after the rules. Now, go find His Majesty the Dragon King. If you can save the brother who was attacked, it would be best. Brother How said. Brother, I am enlightened. The brain looked at Brother How with admiration. Organizations need talents like you. Then initiate a friend request. Brother How chose to accept. After adding Brother How's friend to his brain, he looked at Brother How in amazement. It turns out that you are the boss. Disrespect. But it's really weird. You, a mage, mutated into a muscular man? I was quite surprised myself. Brother Hao smiled. Okay, Eaglehead, let's go. Okay. The Eaglehead opened the door as he said, preparing to leave with Brother Hao. But Brother Monkey on one side grabbed Brother Hao by the arm. With tears in his eyes, Brother Hao, where are you going? Isn't it about throwing me away? This looks like a wronged little daughter-in-law. Hi. Brother Hao was disgusted by Brother Monkey and quickly waved his hand away from Brother Monkey. Brother Monkey, don't do this. I'll go. It's disgusting. I can't stand you. Brother Hao, am I afraid that you abandoned me? The handsome figure that Brother Hao fell from the sky before and saved me has been firmly reflected in my brain. I feel that if I can't see Brother Hao, I will die. And in this organization, I can only rely on you, Brother Hao. Bell, Brother Monkey, what are you doing with Momo? It's disgusting. Brother Hao got cold and hurried out with the Eaglehead. Brother Monkey wanted to follow, but he was stared fiercely by Brother Hao, and he was immediately frightened. His body seemed to froze, and he watched the opponent leave. Until the door closed again. Brother Monkey gasped. My God, this is too scary. At this moment, the cold blue sweat on his forehead slipped drop by drop. I used to watch TV dramas, novels or something. I heard that there was murderousness or something, but I didn't believe it if one look could scare people. Now I believe it. Nima is too strong. Is this a tier 10 powerhouse? Level 10? The brain was dumbfounded and asked. Yeah, don't you know? Brother Monkey asked, and then reacted. You really don't seem to know. Ing2 has known it before telling you. This meeting will go out. There is actually a level 10? I thought it would be possible only when I entered the 4th level. The 3rd level demonization has the level 10 strength. Is this a dragon? The closest thing to the demonization of His Majesty the Demon Dragon King. The brain muttered. Hey, Brother Hao is gone. I feel so insecure. Is it because he is too weak? Brother Monkey sighed, then cast his gaze to the brain. Question mark. The brain was awkwardly stared at by Brother Monkey. Brother, why are you staring at me like this? Is my head strange? You know, this is not something I can control. There was some grievance in his words. No, your big head is not strange at all. I even think it's a little handsome. Brother Monkey said seriously. A mount? Brother, we are our own now, right? Okay. Then I have something for you to help, okay? Part 3. This is definitely okay, as long as it is within our ability. I'm still demonizing Tier 1. I wanted Brother Hao to protect me from demonizing Tier 2. Now that everyone else is gone, I'm a little anxious. And so? Look, brother, did you arrange for someone to accompany me for a ride in the pothole? No problem. The brain happily agreed. This bastard. What did the eyes look so hot just now? Makes me think you like me. Humph. Sure enough, there are too few people who know true love between the same sex. It is said that Brother Hao followed the Eaglehead in a teleportation circle and returned to the ground. He indicated to the Eaglehead that he wanted to take a step forward. The Eaglehead didn't have any objection to this. After all, the speed of the two is not at the same level, and the Eaglehead didn't have to forcefully drag it back together in order to be together. With a roar, the Eaglehead watched Brother Hao transform into a red meteor and fly away. At that speed, he had to obey, at least twice his speed. Brother Hao is fast, but this time the destination is indeed far away. Even if he flew at full strength, it took about 15 minutes. When he arrived at the destination, the demonized players here had all been killed. A group of demon hunters and NPC teams, with at least hundreds left, dangling here together. Brother Hao looked for a while and found that these guys didn't mean to leave the forest at all. They were divided into 4 teams, wandering around. Flew a sound of breaking through the air from far to near. Soon he stopped by Hao Gu, who was the head of the eagle. At this moment the birdman was a little panting. Ha, ha, ha. He is far from the speed and endurance of Brother Hao, but he also rushed over at the fastest speed. The arrival of the Eaglehead interrupted Brother Hao's thoughts. He seemed to be in a daze for a while. How's the situation? Huh? The Eaglehead asked Brother Hao while looking down with his sharp eyes. The demonized brothers were all killed when I arrived. I have been observing these people who are still wandering on the ground. They didn't mean to leave at all. This forest must be special, Brother Hao said without turning his head. It seems that the brain is right. There must be clues to the whereabouts of His Majesty the Dragon King. Go down, kill them, and we will look for them slowly. The Eaglehead man said, dived directly, and rushed towards a team. Seeing this, Brother Hao stopped spying. It turned into a red meteor and swooped down. Boom. But within a few seconds, Brother Hao crossed a distance of kilometers. It fell to the ground with a boom. He slammed into the patrol team, a guy who looked like the captain walking in the front. There was a loud noise and a scream. Smoke-filled, completely obscured the vision of the rear troops. Regarding the sudden situation in front of him, those people in the rear were still a little confused. Fuck. What's the situation? Some players stunned. Another player yelled, Boss, boss, are you okay? Are you okay? Squeak, a squeak came from the smoke. Oh boss, are you really squeaking if I told you to cheat? That seems to be all right. The person who spoke before was a little relieved. Don't worry. How could the boss really tell you? This must be an accident. Everyone attacked the smoke first. Someone yelled again, Wuxia World. Online, this is a warlock who just wanted to cast a spell after speaking. But I saw red glow in the smoke. One after another huge flame broke through the dust and mist and blasted towards everyone. A total of more than a dozen, very fast, almost instantly hit the first player. Boom. At the moment of hitting, the fireball exploded into a ball, and the warlock next to the fireball was blushed by the huge waves of flames. A big wave of heat is coming. The warlock instinctively took a breath, feeling that his lungs were burning, and he quickly choked his neck. He wanted to escape backwards, but it was a little late at this time, and the heat wave had already rushed to his face. Shadow Wall. At this time, the warlock took out his quality as a 6th level elite player, and at this moment used a defensive spell. A dark curtain of light appeared in front of him, separating himself from the fire waves. Plutonium Dragon Field https:// Chapter 289. Taking this opportunity, the warlock quickly jumped back to avoid the fireball from behind. He jumped away, but few others could escape. All were swallowed up by fire waves one by one. The fire is raging, coming fast and going fast. After a famous player turned into white light and disappeared, the flame lost the burning target and disappeared quickly. At this time, the warlock could see the attacker in the distance. A red-scale dragon man. Fiery and strong is the instinctive impression after seeing the dragon. Shadow arrow. The warlock hadn't given up his mind. After chanting a few spells, he waved his hand and sent an arrow composed of flames. Whoosh! The arrow flew in front of the dragon. Suck! Seeing the dragon man opened his mouth and sucked hard, the shadow arrow was sucked into his abdomen. A funny injury floated from the top of the dragon man's head. Interesting experience. The taste is a bit like moldy egg liquid. The dragon man looked at the warlock and said lightly, Mada, there's no need to fight. The other surviving soldier saw this scene and swallowed in shock. Magic player? The warlock frowned. Why is there such a powerful demonized player? What rank are you? 8th and 9th skeleton? Or 9th? Don't compare me with those weak chickens. I'm on the 10th level. Gu looked proud and looked at the opposite with a contemptuous look. 10? 10? This is impossible. Someone was horrified inexplicably. Can players be so strong? As if seeing through the other side's thoughts, Brother Hao continued. Of course players can be so strong. Do you want to be as strong as me? Do you want this kind of power? If you want, go to the ruins of Blizzard City. In that huge pit, there is the power to demonize players. Gudong, a player couldn't help swallowing again. Really? There can really be demonized there? Of course. I don't have to deceive you. All demonized players are my friends. I also hope that there will be more and more friends. By the way, I also got this power in reality after being demonized. In other words, in reality, I also have the power of Tier 10. Brother Hao's words are like the whispers of the devil, constantly tempting these people. Magic, is it so great? Yes. Demonization is so great. It gives me the power to squeeze you to death at will. In the face of this kind of power, we were the ants before, the true ants. This world, whether it is a game or reality, is about to be chaotic. Players who are not demonized will become ants. Vassal. Only demonized players can control the right to speak in troubled times. You don't want this kind of power? I want this power. Then go to the pit of the Blizzard City ruins. There is everything you want. The Demon Dragon King hides his power there, continued with a seductive voice. Okay, let's go now. The remaining players beamed one by one, turned and left. Brother Hao looked at these people impatiently, and the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Go. All become demons. Let the demonized troops become stronger. Seeing these people gradually go away, turning around and turning around, they are about to disappear from sight. Brother Hao was taken aback suddenly. What did I seem to forget? What is it? The next moment, Brother Hao's complexion changed, and his figure flickered. Sa. A sound of breaking through the air sounded. Brother Hao disappeared in place. It appeared in front of several players who had disappeared, blocking the way straight. Several people were surprised. Does this guy want to go back? Want to kill us? But the speed is so fast. If he wants to kill us, then we have no ability to resist. What else do you want? A player asked cautiously. Actually used your words subconsciously. Before I go there, I have one more question for you. You ask. If I didn't show up, you didn't plan to leave this forest at all? Tell me why. We really didn't want to leave. In the nearby city of Hammers, we received a special mission, saying that this is a sealed land. Let us come here to patrol with some NPCs. If there is a demonized player close to kill directly, the reward is quite rich, so we accepted it. A player said, "The land of the seal?" Brother How carefully savored this sentence. Looked at the right side again. There is a familiar breath there, and it is very rich. It's Sillon Soderbergh, the breath of that magic dragon. It must be him. Can we leave? A player asked carefully. Go. If you want to go to the pothole at the Blizzard City site, remember to buy more blood medicine, stay in it for half an hour, and then you can leave, and then hide in a safe place to demonize. Beheaded in the middle, but will demonize and fail. Brother How seemed to remind him kindly. It surprised a few players. One of them opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but was immediately pulled by the person next to him, and extinguished his desire to say something after a glance. They really left this time and waited until they got out of the forest. One of the players said to the player who wanted to talk before, "What did you want to say to him?" "I want to tell him that the hunting unit here is legendary, and there is more than one." "Hee, you were so kind. I just think the guy reminded us at the end, so remind him too. Let's kill him. Let's go. Hurry up to the Blizzard City ruins. As long as we are also demonized, we won't necessarily be weaker than this guy. Haha. It is strange enough to tell us the method of demonization so generously. It's true that this demonization has been around for so long, and no one on the forum has said how to do it, and recently there has been less and less discussion of demonization in the forum, which is really strange. The content that should have been a big fire, but there are a few pitiful. It feels like there is an invisible big hand manipulating the forum, making everything that shouldn't appear disappear. Heh, do you really think too much? This group of players called out to sit up and leave quickly while chatting. At this time, Brother How started to look at this so-called sealed land. The familiar breath is so rich. As long as you move your nose lightly, the smell will penetrate your lungs. This kind of breath is more satisfying to Brother How than the body fragrance of beautiful women. He found that he was a little obsessed with this smell. Sucking. While twitching his nose, Brother How turned to the right, the smell getting stronger. But immediately, Brother How, who had been on his way to the goal, suddenly felt that the taste faded. Then continue to walk a few steps forward, the taste fades again. What happened? I have been walking forward obviously. Why does the smell fade? This strange vision made Brother How a little puzzled, but he immediately closed his eyes. His eyes deceived him. Then find what I want by nose. Brother How kept moving his nose and advancing according to the smell, but the familiar smell was never brought closer. Instead, it seemed to keep walking in place. In order to be so, is there a special magic circle imposed here? After this thought came to Brother How's mind, he was out of control. The magic circle, the extremely unpopular knowledge in the game, belongs to the auxiliary side, and generally no one will look at it carefully. I didn't expect to be able to confuse him as a tier 10 powerhouse, which is a bit interesting. Opening his eyes silently, the pupil of Brother How's left eye was burning like a flame. He took a deep breath, and a lot of element particles and air poured into his lungs, then spit out suddenly. Call. A huge fire wave swept toward the front 100 meters in a fan shape. The crackling sounds sounded one after another in an instant. At least dozens, hundreds of big trees were ignited by the fire and burned. Brother How turned slightly, and the fan-shaped fire wave turned together. Everything around was ignited by him. The fire is overwhelming, and the black smoke billows. Part 2. Brother How was besieged by the fire wave, but he was not unnatural at all. Instead, he looked very relaxed. He strode gracefully, still breathing flames, and walked in the direction where the smell came from. The flames continued to spread with his movement. Suddenly, Brother How noticed that the body of a certain big tree was shining with blue light, and the surrounding fire made it impossible to approach the tree body. Suspicious. Brother How's eyes narrowed slightly. He stopped the output of the flame. The next moment, his body appeared in front of the big tree. A punch outrageously. Boom. Accompanied by a burst of air. Brother How's fists roared against the blue light of the big tree. At the moment when the fist hit the blue enchantment, the air wave generated by the fierce fighting even moved the surrounding trees 10 meters away. The flaming branches and leaves danced with the wind. Wow. But the blue enchantment that was directly hit by this terrifying fist never broke. It just swayed slightly, and it was restored. What the hell? Can actually resist my punch? Brother How was a little surprised, and at the same time his expression became straight. I don't believe that I can resist 10 punches. 100 punches. Break it to me. Brother How yelled wildly. His arms turned into 2 afterimages, and he madly output to the big tree in front of him. Bumpy bump. Countless clashes are connected in a line. Brother How hit the tree at a speed close to 100 punches per second. Every time the wind pressure bursts from hitting the big tree and swinging the arm, it directly blows out the flames on the several big trees within a dozen meters of it. With Brother How and Dashu as the center, Within 10 meters, there seemed to be a vacuum belt separating the flames. The blue enchantment that was being hit constantly was shaking. Cracks began to appear, getting bigger and bigger, just as they were about to rupture. A violent shout sounded, "Set fire to the forest! Sit in prison! Damned demonized person! The rest of your life will be spent in hell. The God of all-knowing and almighty will no longer protect you." With this shout, the sound of heavy objects stepping on the ground went from far to near. Huh! Brother How was interrupted by his hearty blow, and turned his head to look at the person who came. I saw a big bald head who was not under him, with his upper body naked, coming madly at him. The burning forest of fire around him can't have the slightest effect on him. Even when a collapsed tree of fire smashed at him, he was gently swung his arm and blasted tens of meters away. Evil demonized man, die to me. The tyrannical yelling resounded through the forest. The visitor raised his fist-big casserole and slammed at Brother How. At the moment of a big punch, fists squeezed the air, blowing a gust of wind straight ahead. The flames of the burning trees within tens of meters swayed like seedlings in the strong wind. Brother How frowned. Since Demonization 3, he hasn't been afraid of anyone. Naturally not to be outdone at this time. He also hit the opponent with a straight punch. Boom! Two fierce fists banged together. A terrible gas explosion erupted from the fists of both. Blow away all the swaying, flickering flames of the big tree within tens of meters. The two punching guys were all shaken out by each other's strength. Behind Brother How is a big tree protected by blue light, but it slammed straight into it, making the blue light crack bigger. The madman who attacked Brother How directly broke a big tree behind him, and his body was embedded in the big tree behind. This fist. Enough? The visitor moved his shoulders and emerged from the inlaid tree. He grinned open, who stretched his cheeks around his lips, and he seemed to be in a good mood. I thought you demonized destiny, but they are all paper tigers. I didn't expect that there are experts like you. I am really lucky. Until this moment, Brother How carefully looked at those who came down. The naked upper body is all covered with scars, crisscrossed. The beard is dense, and his face is wild. But at this moment, it revealed an unusually happy color. You are the Mad King Arnold of the North? Brother How seemed to recognize each other. This guy is also a tier 10 boss, stronger than the Emperor of War. It's 7 skeletons. A super berserker known for his melee combat. The strength is no longer under him. Ha, that's right. It seems that my name is known all over the world. Crazy King Arnold laughed. Heh, if I remember correctly, you have been killed by the Dragon King in Blizzard, Sylvan Soderbergh. Ha ha ha, the Mad King laughed. It didn't mean to be angry at all. Yes, I was indeed killed by that monster. Not reconciled. Didn't fight him. Unexplainably dead. That is simply beyond words powerful. But I believe in the omniscient and almighty God. God has resurrected me again, and I'm patrolling here, and those who have nothing to do with it should leave quickly. Hee, do you want to fight the Demon Dragon King that way? I can give you this opportunity. Brother How said, patted the big tree behind him. The Mad King Arnold of the North, a madman through and through, seems to have no idea what fear is, and likes to challenge any strong. I heard that the tier 10 powerhouses of the entire continent have competed with him, and they started fighting from certain occasions. Break it, the illusion of this confusing woodland will be solved. You can find the magic dragon, and your wish can be realized. As long as you have the guts. Really? Crazy King looked at the big tree behind How, his eyes brightened. Of course. Brother How raised his mouth slightly, took a step to the left, and let out the big tree behind him. Come on, break it. You can fight the dragon. Smash it, smash it. Crazy King's eyes brightened, and his mouth was muttering. He stared at the big tree guarded by blue light. Just crush it? You didn't lie to me, did you? Of course, hurry, smash it. Oh, I want to smash it. The Mad King roared. His hair and beard were wide, and he ran forward as soon as he lifted his right foot. Suddenly there was a loud shout from the sky. Fool! Do you dare to ignore God's will? Ah! The Mad King was awakened by the shout. Look up. I saw an old man in a red robe floating in the air, looking at him angrily. That is the Archbishop of the Omniscience Church. Asshole! Who are you, stupid? You're a little bit. Be careful when I crush your eggs. The Crazy King shouted. His mouth was full of vulgar words, and the Archbishop half-empty heard his old face flushed. Crude. Crude. How could God have such a crude believer like you? No matter what, quickly kill this demonized person. Are you still trying to defy the orders of God there? Who is going to disobey the destiny? The old man is dim-eyed. Wait for me to kill the demonized destiny in front of me, and then I will talk to you. The Mad King quibbled and rushed forward. Boom, boom, boom. After a few steps, the Mad King came to How Gu. His fists turned into afterimages and burst out. The violent fist slammed Hao's body, then passed through. Hit the big tree protected by blue light. Rumbling affected by this combo. The barrier of the big tree broke more and more. Stupid thing. God is watching us. Old stuff. I don't need you to say too much. After seeing Brother Hao dodge, the Mad King quickly killed Brother Hao, who had already withdrawn tens of meters. He is like a fierce colossus. All obstacles blocking the way have been broken. The rumbling voice kept coming out. More and more trees were knocked down. But the Mad King never caught up with Brother Hao. This made him a little impatient. Coward! Don't you even dare to fight me? What a waste. Humph. Brother Hao just turned around and sneered. He raised his head and glanced at the cardinal, who was gradually pulling away. It is also a level 10 boss and a level 6 skeleton. Part 3. Want him to hit too? He is not that stupid. Circled around the forest. Seeing that the cardinal was thrown away, Brother Hao turned around and greeted the Mad King. Haha, coward. Do you finally dare to face me? He laughed. The two quickly collided. Brother Hao's eyes are very sharp, and he must eliminate his opponent as quickly as possible. When the two got closer and closer, the punch of the Mad King suddenly hit Brother Hao on the head. But Brother Hao reacted extremely quickly. While avoiding his body slightly, his right fist blasted on the Mad King's stomach like lightning. Orbit. The symphony of gold and iron sounded, accompanied by the Mad King's laugh. Ha ha ha, didn't you eat? Why is this power? His body is ill-tempered, and the berserkers who gave up their weapons, the body is the strongest weapon in armor. Orbit. Another punch hit the Mad King's stomach. Wow! The Mad King cried out in pain, his stomach pouch. The corner of his eye cast down, vaguely saw a touch of fiery red. Drink! He screamed and kicked Brother Hao severely. With a boom, Brother Hao kicked hundreds of meters away. A powerful fist. This is interesting. The Mad King laughed wildly, and once again chased the Hao brother who had been kicked. After the landing, Hao Gu did not change much. The dragon scales on his body have super powerful functions: compressive resistance, shock absorption, fire prevention, and injury reduction. A blow that was originally enough to break the steel, but it just made him feel like he was punched both lightly and not. Brother Hao greeted him without any fear. Mad King. But so, the two fisted fist to fist, furiously fighting each other. The roar continued to explode between the two. Pieces of air explosion shattered the surrounding trees. The ground began to collapse slowly. Haha, it's fun. It's fun. This is the fight that a real man should have. The Mad King fisted against Brother Hao and shouted. But immediately, Brother Hao stopped the fist with the Mad King again and turned to escape. Asshole, why are you running away again? Come back. Come back to me like a man. The crazy king's voice was full of anger and sadness. Then he seemed to feel something. Looking back, it turned out that it was the cardinal rushing over. It turns out that this old thing is coming again. It's a good thing for me. Damn it. The Mad King cursed and ran after him again. The three of them were like hide and seek, moving wildly in the forest. Brother Hao's speed is absolutely swift for the two pursuers. Can't catch up at all. Even if the two soldiers were double-teamed and intercepted briefly, they could not be defeated immediately. On the contrary, Hao brother will still run away. The two pursuers suddenly realized that they had no choice but to take each other. And when Brother Hao was not at ease when he ran away, he created chaos while running, spewing flames and igniting all the surrounding trees. The flames quickly burned the entire forest. Damn it, this is not the way. The cardinal frowned as he looked at the burning forest beneath him. I must ask for the help of the Almighty God. Even if it makes God feel that I am incompetent, it is absolutely impossible for the demonized person to continue like this. Thinking about this, the cardinal immediately used the method bestowed by God, closed his eyes and began to communicate with God. His complexion began to change several times, and he didn't know what he had experienced. Finally, 3 portals appeared beside him. The Emperor of War, as well as the Fazhin, the Pope, and 3 rank 10s appeared next to the cardinal. They saw the raging fire as soon as they arrived. Both frowned. The Pope shouted to the cardinal, "You don't need to say anything. We all understand. The top priority now is to kill the mutant demonized man who made trouble." The cardinal just nodded heavily. Just now, when he communicated with the Almighty God of All-Knowing and Almighty, he briefly talked about the matter. The God of All-Knowing Almighty was as furious as expected. After this incident, maybe his position will be smashed. Now, the God of All-Knowing is watching here. All the strong will go to the direction provided by God in the first time. It didn't take long for Brother Hao, who was still running away. And Brother Hao looked at the 5 famous masters and couldn't help taking a breath. What's the matter? Why are there so many powerful people at once? Sinner, you have alarmed the great all-knowing Almighty God. He is already watching you. The Pope shouted with a heavy face. Follow me? Why do big people like that pay attention to me? Brother Hao puzzled. It should be the omniscient and almighty of the boss or the creator of this game. Why is there such a firm stance bias? Isn't this his playground? Why are you targeting me as a player? So for demonized people, care about the seal of this forest so much? Sinner, go to the omniscient and almighty God to repent. The Pope is no longer willing to talk to such sinners. The other 4 strong men surrounded Hao Gu Tuan Tuan. The Pope held a pure white cross in his palm, wisps of white brilliance shining. Next moment, there was a hum. A huge cross completely shrouded Brother Hao. What? With a terrible cry, Brother Hao was bombarded into the earth. Then the Pope, the Cardinal, and the Holy Priest began to set up simple barriers around them to prevent Brother Hao from escaping. The Emperor Zhan and the Mad King rushed directly to the pit that had just been blasted out by the pure white cross Wuxia World, online to prepare for a fierce physical collision with Brother Hao, just when Brother Hao was besieged, within a forest that is only a kilometer away from here. A place like an independent space, where the flowers are charming and the air is fresh. The blazing forest outside seemed to have nothing to do with this space. A huge dragon with a dark body and occasional golden light flashing in the gaps of the scales lay on the ground lazily, closing his eyes to rest. He seemed cut off from the outside world, sleeping shallowly. Dear second qualified person, your strongest believer Duan Tianhao is 1 kilometer away from you, being attacked by the first qualified person's believer. Expected to be killed in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Being imprisoned by the first qualified person in the prison of God, enclosed in the world of Dora's tomb. Asshole. I said before, don't bother, mine? Shillong replied lazily, with his head lying on his forelimbs. Plutonium Dragon Field, https:// Do you like this site? Donate here. Chapter 290. Your believer is being attacked? This believer has a high potential, and his current strength is 10th and 7 skeletons. Among all demonized creatures, it has the breath closest to you. It is judged that it has the value of salvation. Huh? I don't seem to have given my blood to any species recently, right? And I'm still a male dragon. I won't be the same as a female dragon. I have an ant's blood once a year. Here comes the problem. Where did the blood for the demonization of this demonized creature come from? Shillong suddenly changed his face and asked in confusion. Honorable second qualified, this believer is currently in the 3rd order demonized state. Oh, that's the way it turns out. Shillong suddenly. Then he was a little surprised. Someone can reach level 10 in the 3rd stage? Maybe this is a good guy? Then he turned his head and looked around. Why do I sleep for a while? I am surrounded by flames. Are those fighting and fighting? Shillong controlled gravity. His body did not move at all, but slowly floated. Then rotate. One eye directly saw through the disguise of the outer circle, seeing all the truth in the eye. Quickly, he found the gang fight at 9 o'clock. A dragon man with scarlet scales was being beaten by 2 humans. There are also 3 humans around them staring at each other, looking for opportunities to attack the dragon people. The dragon man roared, trying to escape, but couldn't escape, and finally could only fight the enemy. In this process, the dragon man has been playing the role of being beaten. The dragon man looks very pure, and the aura is... Shillong muttered. The radiation evolution can actually evolve such a pure dragon man. Isn't this luck? Shillong looked a little. The strength and speed of this dragon man are not weak. Occasionally looking for opportunities to eject fireballs, about 2 meters in diameter, pits on the ground. You said that if he dies, he will be imprisoned and unable to be resurrected? Yes. This is a rule created by the Maker. As long as he dies in the world of Dora's tomb, the first qualified person can spend a very small price to imprison the other person's body in this world in the prison of God. The soul will always reject the world of Dora's tomb. How much faith is the minimal price in your mouth? Why didn't the King Kong orangutan do this directly? 100,000 beliefs. Well, I seem to know why the King Kong orangutan has not been dealt with in this way, obviously because it is unworthy. Shillong smiled lightly and glanced at his beliefs. It was just over 100,000. No matter what your mind is, you have one. No matter what your mind is, such a strange mutant radiation person still needs to pay attention. Shillong stretched his limbs as he spoke. He didn't say one more thing. From Brother Hao, he actually felt a strange sense of familiarity. I feel that the other party is in blood, and he is actually a bit related to him. This kind of association is like that of ancestors and grandchildren. Although very meager, it is tangible. He finally returned to normal from the lazy floating state. On all fours, step by step towards the position of Brother Hao, and in some unknown space, Milbo, known as the omniscient and almighty God, is in a dilemma. This intruder, hasn't he been sleeping well before? Why did you wake up all at once? I obviously cut off all the surrounding environment and sounds. It will never disturb him. Milbo scratched his head with a headache. Damn it! If this goes on, these 5 10th orders will die again. Just resurrecting them will cost me tens of thousands of faith points. The problem of demonization may be more serious than before. Did the of luck abandon me? Milbo kept complaining. The ball of light he was holding in his hand was silent. In the world of Doris Tomb, Shillong came to a big tree. The big tree looked in the eyes of ordinary people, no different from an ordinary tree, but in Shillong's eyes, it was wrapped in blue light, and the big trees in the other directions are square. A blue light curtain is like a barrier, separating the beautiful world inside from the burning world outside. Shillong raised his paw and slapped it with a palm. At least tens of millions of tons of power broke out. The barrier burst instantly. The big tree as the link point was also affected by the force and exploded into powder in an instant. This sudden loud noise completely disrupted the rhythm of the besieged. Whether it is a war emperor or a mad king, Brother Hao, the all-knowing pope, or the bishop, or Dharma sage, they all instinctively glanced at the direction of the explosion. Then, their heads seemed to froze. It's really lively here. Have you ever played the house? 1 dragon and 5 phoenixes, or 1 phoenix and 5 dragons. It's exciting. I feel a little itchy to watch inside. Shillong's golden particles gathered together. The closed eyes swept over all the Tier 10 powerhouses present. A cold air rushed from behind them. Everyone was silent for a long while. Suddenly there was a laugh. Ha ha, ha ha, ha 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 ha. Everyone looked for their reputation and saw that they were surrounded. At this time, they looked a little miserable. The blood on the scales covered his face and smiled evilly. Is this guy crazy? At this time, he is still smiling? The Tier 10 powerhouses who had been besieging him before could not help but raise such a doubt in their hearts. Unlike the NPC powerhouses who had been killed and resurrected and feared Shillong, Hao Ge, who thought he would never die, would not have much fear of Shillong. This will simply be happy to find a goal for oneself and find a big boss who may be a friendly army at a critical moment. Crazy King, didn't you say that you wanted to fight against the Dragon King? Now your majesty is right in front of your eyes. Why not? Brother Hao sneered. The Emperor Zhan and others turned their gazes at the crazy king, with their gazes in disbelief. Brother, are you so awesome? Even dare to say this? What do you look at? I did say this. The king of the north never feared any enemy. The mad king flushed and gritted his teeth. Haha, go on. What are you doing here? Or are you scared? Feared? Do you know how ridiculous you look now? Coward. Hao Ge cursed, seeming to express his emotions. Oh. Xylem lowered his huge head slightly, and his eyes as big as small houses stared at the big bald head of the mad king. You want to challenge me? Shillong's words were extremely plain, but his eyes looked like a fool. Do you know? As a human being, the biggest difference from animals is their ingenuity, knowledge of the times, and kneeling down and begging for mercy in the face of invincible enemies. This is what you should do. Maybe I will show kindness and mercy. You may die. All those who dare to underestimate the king of the north, all will pay for his arrogance. You are no exception. When did the mad king be so underestimated? He roared wildly, kicked hard under his feet, and his body turned into a cannonball and crashed into the dragon. In the eyes of other people, it was like a little cat yelling and pounced on a tiger. With incredible courage, a wild red light burst into his fist, a fierce punch on the big dragon's head. After a loud noise, immediately followed by a heart-wrenching roar. Ah! My hand! My hand broke. This voice is from the Mad King. His body suddenly fell down like a broken kite, and the fist of his right arm had been shattered and broken, turned into a pool of rotten meat. He roared in cold sweat and put his left hand on his right. Snapped. It just fell straight to the ground. Except for the screams of the Mad King, all around seemed quiet. Brother Hao looked at the word -1 on the head of the Demon Dragon King, then at the word -89,651 floating on the head of the Crazy King, and swallowed with difficulty. A strong man with the same strength as him used all his strength to attack the 13th Order Dragon in front of him, but the gap seemed to be much larger than he thought. The attacker loses 1 blood, and the attacker loses 90,000 blood? What could be more ironic than this? Part 2. Especially the Mad King at this time. How can there be arrogance and arrogance when fighting him? Now it is clearly an injured cat squinted. Amazing attack. You hurt me with the power of a single person. The huge Demon Dragon King looked at the howling Mad King and praised. Although it was only a little bit, it did hurt me. This level is comparable to tens of thousands of destiny. While talking, the dragon actually stood up, and a pair of forelimbs clapped. This word is so harsh, so mocking. In other words, the Mad King had hammered his head early, but he was talking about the dragon whose fist had been broken. The Mad King can do nothing but wailing. Shillong was like a human being, raising a hind leg, then falling down randomly, stepping on the Mad King. It seemed as if a small bug was accidentally trampled to death, and it smashed a little, and then said to several other 10th tier powerhouses, "You guys, I have killed them before, and now they are resurrected. He came to die again. It was really hard working. The evil dragon. Don't be too mad. The whole world is under the control of the great, all-knowing Almighty God. Your evil life will eventually be ended. The all-knowing Pope fearlessly mentioned the scepter. It was a white light hitting the dragon. An attack that was originally enough to collapse a castle. Like a firecracker. In front of the magic dragon, there is only momentum, as if there is no power at all. Only wisps of fireworks floated on him. The dragon only glanced at the Pope. Wow! A huge gravitational force fell on the Pope in an instant, making him unprepared and bending down. But the Pope's reaction was also swift, and he immediately summoned his whole body magic to resist this gravity. His body bends like this, like an old prawn rolling up his ass. His old face is flushed, and he is fighting against gravity. Boom, boom, boom. The loud sound of footsteps gradually approached the Pope, who could not make any movements. When the footsteps stopped, a huge shadow covered him, and then slowly fell under the Pope's horrified eyes. Your God can't save you at all, nor dare to save you. This was the last word the Pope heard. When this sentence was finished, the huge shadow completely covered the ground, and then it ran gently. His consciousness disappeared immediately. There are 3 left. The dragon whispered in a low voice, like the whisper of death. Run. The Dharma sage did not hesitate. He would wait for death if he didn't run. In addition, the surviving Emperor Jean and the Archbishop did not hesitate, and the 3 of them broke into 3 directions and started to escape. How can you let these little crawlers escape? The dragon murmured. He too. A flaming red saliva phlegm the size of a human head flew out of the dragon's mouth, like a red cannonball, and roared at the speed of breaking through the sound barrier to the defensive enchantment of the saint. The saliva phlegm soon seemed to stick to the defensive enchantment, wrapping the Dharma sage. Burst! As the dragon whispered, some wonderful changes immediately occurred in the saliva and phlegm that wrapped the Faz hen, and it became extremely red. The surrounding fire elements are gathering in a way visible to the naked eye. When the fiery red liquid enchantment reunited with the fire element, boom! A huge explosion sounded. A fireball with a radius of close to 100 meters burst instantly and engulfed Fa Sage. I can vomit you to death with one mouthful of sputum. Want to fight me? While talking, the dragon glanced at the other 2 legends who had already run a kilometer. You 2 have a fun dance. The dragon's mouth opened, and a red gold sphere appeared. The airflow near the sphere is pulled by it. It is like the center of a whirlpool. The fire elements within a few kilometers of the circle all moved toward the center, and after merging in, the sphere began to grow larger. The Emperor Jean and the Cardinal, who were still on the run, discovered the anomaly. Their feet kept moving, but their heads glanced back. After seeing the red gold sphere, he was taken aback. The attack of the magic dragon is coming soon. The time has come to test them. The 2 powerhouses knew the importance of position. They started a very special snake-like position, writhing on the ground. A few seconds later, the scarlet golden sphere in front of the dragon's mouth has expanded to the point of 15 meters in diameter. The dragon closed his mouth. Let's dance. Wishing. Infinite red golden light rain shot out from the ball of light. The rain of light was like bullets, and the ball of light was like Gatling, outputting wildly. These bullets span a distance of kilometers in an instant. Boom. The first rain of light fell, less than 1 meter away from the Emperor Jean. Suddenly, a violent strong wind blew on the Emperor Jean, and a large hole with a diameter of 5 or 6 meters appeared on the ground. Danger! Jean was alert. Boom. In the next moment, another explosion erupted less than 1 meter behind him. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions continued to sound around the Emperor Jean. Too dangerous. Although this kind of attack could not kill him, as long as he was hit, his escape process would stop, and then would be swallowed up by these endless explosions. Believe that it will take a few seconds to be bombed to heaven and meet the great God. The Emperor Jean controlled his body, dodged from the left and right in the explosion. All kinds of extreme body movements were ridiculous. What do you think of this dance in the fireworks? Suddenly, a voice rang in Brother Hao's ear, interrupted his interest in this burlesque dance. Turning his head, Brother Hao found that the demon dragon king was staring at him with eyes larger than his body. Quietly. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Brother Hao realized that after being stared like this, he was not as calm as he had imagined. His heart beat violently. Take a deep breath. This is a beautiful dance that I have never appreciated. The actors on the stage are world-renowned dancers, and the lighting is amazing. It is definitely a masterpiece of true God that is different from the pseudo-God of omniscience and omnipotence. Only His Majesty the Dragon King has the ability to direct such a perfect masterpiece. Brother Hao put together the high-level flattering he had endured for many years and flattered him. The dragon's eyes lit up slightly. You are really different. Whether it is thought or enlightenment, It is not comparable to ordinary human beings. No wonder I can rely on my strength, in the strength and strength of evolution. Appearance. Your Majesty is a greater existence than God. Only when I accept your transformation by your power can I fully understand that I am living in this world. I abandon my former human body and evolve to possess 1/1,000,000th of you, or the life of 10 millionths of strength. I'm so lucky. Talent. Talent. You really are a talent. The dragon exclaimed to Brother Hao. I used to have subordinates who are as capable as you, but unfortunately I have separated for the time being. At this time, I need some talents for my use. Boy, are you willing to work for me? Of course. This is the only value of my life. Brother Hao lowered his head, his eyes flickering. Yeah. The dragon nodded, and then spit out a drop of blood from his mouth. This blood was more reddish and more dazzling than the blood of the dragon that Haogu thought before. When floating in the air, he felt a wave of heat rushing towards him. Swallow it, and you have a chance to gain stronger power. The voice of the dragon came. Hearing this, Brother Hao was secretly delighted. This must be an advanced treasure leading to demonization 4. Without hesitation, Brother Hao stepped forward and swallowed it in one bite. Wu pong, pong, pong. A sound of drumming came from Haogu, his heart beating violently. The blood in the body is flowing fast. The flame on the body burst out by itself, turned him into a fireman. I feel my strength is increasing. This feeling is great, Haogu said excitedly. Very good. Part 3. In a few days, you will have stronger power. That way I can better serve your Majesty. Brother Hao is a person who knows the current affairs. As a man who has suffered thousands of flattering and can still play with ordinary people happily, he knows that flexibility is the only way to success. Method. Great enlightenment. I look forward to your performance in the future, the dragon said, then turned his eyes to the emperor and the cardinal who were still running away. Among them, the cardinal, as a spell professional, did not have the professional agility of a fighter and was already bombarded by the light ball at this time. I don't know where he died, but Emperor Zhan was still barely supporting it. He had already run 3 kilometers at this time. If it wasn't for avoiding attacks and slowed down greatly, he might have run 10 kilometers by now. Although it was dangerous every time, His Majesty Zhan Di was worthy of being a master of the warrior system, and the basic skills of evasion were indeed solid. After watching for a while, the dragon said, Okay, this dance should almost end, and it doesn't make any sense to continue. He stretched out his paw and tapped the tip of the paw lightly on the golden sphere. The buzzing sound is denser, and the fire light becomes more dazzling. But even if His Majesty the War Emperor in the distance danced with his limbs drawn out, he could not completely avoid the rain of light. He was accidentally hit for a while, and was subsequently flooded by endless of light. Rumble. The flames there continued to increase. Even if they were 3 or 4 kilometers away, Brother Hao felt the ground tremble slightly. The gunfire lasted for 30 seconds before it stopped. The flames of the explosion rushed hundreds of meters into the air. Until then, the rain-like artillery fire ceased. Brother Hao swallowed hard, looked at the huge pit in the distance, and then at the demon Dragon King. Call all your brothers over. The demonized legion needs more power, doesn't it? Shillong said. Yes, all for your Majesty the Demon Dragon King, Haogu said. Then he began to contact Monkey Brother, Brain, and Eagle Head. Brother, I found His Majesty the Dragon King. The coordinates XXXX come here soon. Only Monkey and Brain responded. Fuck. As expected of Brother Hao, I found your Majesty the Dragon King as soon as I got out of the horse. I really love you to death. This is Brother Monkey's reply. You found it? Really? Didn't you kid me? This is the Brain's reply. Really? I guarantee it by my personality. And I have been rewarded by His Majesty the Dragon King, and I am in the 4th demonized state. Okay, I'll be here soon. Brother Hao and them just chatted a few words, and they could feel their eagerness. Waited in place for an hour. Brother Hao looked at the dragon and yawned boredly, and then began to lie on the ground and close his eyes. Brother Hao breathed a sigh of relief. Always being stared at, the pressure was so great. He felt out of breath. After waiting for several hours in silence, Brother Hao Yu read www.ukyungshu.com, saw that the first one to arrive was actually the eagle head who had just been killed. His brows are frowning now, and his condition seems very bad. When he landed on the ground, his expression immediately relaxed, and his frowning eyebrows were also relaxed, looking excitedly at the dragon lying on the ground sleeping. Really? It's really your Majesty the Dragon King. Great. Our demonized people are finally coming out. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly covered his head and groaned, Woo, my head hurts. Are you okay? Just come here as soon as you died. Brother Hao asked. It's okay. These pains are nothing compared to the joy of seeing His Majesty the Devil Dragon King. The eagle head waved his hand, and then looked at Brother Hao with admiring eyes. But you are really amazing. You have defeated the Mad King single-handedly and found your majesty. Brother Hao, I am proud of having a brother like you. You misunderstood. I didn't kill the crazy king. Brother Hao smiled awkwardly, then slanted his eyes towards the dragon. Plutonium Dragon Field Plutonium Dragon Field https:// Chapter 291. His Majesty the Dragon King killed it. You don't know how critical the situation was. 5-tier 10 powerhouses. Mad King, the Emperor, the Omniscient Pope, Bishop, all Dharma. Stay together in this sealed place. How could I be an opponent? But when I was besieged and survived, I met the light. This light cut through the darkness and saved me. That's right. His Majesty the Dragon King, with a real powerful posture, like a giant god. He lifted his foot like an ant and trampled the Pope to death. With a spit, he sprayed the Dharma sage to death. His power is supreme. It's not something we can imagine and match. This is not one-dimensional. Brother Hao said impassioned. The eagle head was stunned while listening. The sharp beak opened slightly. Brother Hao, when have you been able to speak so well? How come this flatterer is so skilled? This is not in line with your personal settings. Are you not the eldest master? Shouldn't it be a cold male god? Ahem, don't look at me like that. I just usually like to read, and the book teaches me a lot of things. These are basic common sense. Brother Hao smiled embarrassedly. Oh, Brother Hao, educated. Ing Shou raised his thumb to express his admiration. Haha. Read more, read good books, it will be helpful to everyone's life. Brother Hao babbled. Your Majesty the Demon Dragon King. At this time, the eagle head was obviously more concerned about the demon dragon not far in front of him, and instinctively wanted to walk over and say something. But Brother Hao immediately stopped him. Don't bother your majesty at will. Wait until everyone is there. He was really afraid that the dragon opened his eyes and stared at him with his eyes. It was not only a mental oppression, but also a deterrence that could not be described in words. Oh! The eagle head was stopped and was not annoyed, but calmly responded, and then waited silently. The dragon didn't respond to what the two said around him, as if he was really asleep. Brother Hao and Ing Shou continued to chat. Perhaps after being demonized, his resistance to headaches was much higher. The eagle head actually just chatted with Brother Hao for an hour or two, until the brain, with Brother Monkey, and a large group of demons, a total of more than 70 people arrived. These strange-looking guys, as soon as they came here, they looked straight at the dragon. The look is as hot as it is. It was like a group of hungry men saw naked beauties. The brain took the lead, floating in front of Brother Hao with excitement and said, Brother Hao, you really are the lucky star of our organization. Your Majesty the Dragon King. We finally found our god. All these are the guidance of His Majesty the Devil Dragon King. Let me meet him here. Haogu said solemnly. Yes, everything is the guidance of His Majesty the Demon Dragon King. All demonized people will rise. Perhaps it has been chased by ordinary players and NPCs for too long. Obviously individuals are stronger than them, but they always have to hide. Such stubborn days naturally make demonized people very unhappy. Seeing that the bitter days are coming to an end, a group of demonized people are very excited and shouting. Perhaps the sound was a little noisy. The dragon finally opened his eyes, and all the demonized people felt that the entire space was bright for several degrees. They couldn't help but cast their eyes to the brightest place, the head of the dragon. In those eyes larger than their bodies, there were very dark almond-shaped pupils erected. The original white parts of the eyes were all scattered streams of golden particles, which were both sacred and majestic, but also extremely beautiful. Dong, 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 all demonized people found their heart beating so fast. The blood in the body was flowing fast, and the face began to congestion. Welcome to you, children who have my power. The dragon said, his voice more majestic than they thought. Heir with the power of the Demon Dragon King? Is this the recognition of our Majesty the Dragon King? A group of demons thought in their hearts. As the head of the former demonized organization, the brain had previously broken his heart for the organization. Suddenly, he would see the in his heart, calling him an heir, and tears welled up in his eyes. Your Majesty, we finally see you. I can see your Majesty's face. This is the blessing that we all have cultivated for 8 lifetimes. The brain has a big head, and the eyes are bigger than normal people. There are tears in the eye sockets. It's pitiful to go up. The others looked at the dragon pitifully. Your Majesty, you have to call the shots for us. Those mortals dare to insult your heirs. It's a sin worthy of death. A demonized person said pitifully. Your Majesty, you should use your infinite power to directly rule the world. Let everything fall under your control. The God of all-knowing and almighty is not worthy to rule this world. Someone said. They are all old demonized people. They have been in the organization for a long time, and they have communicated with many demonized people. Many people believe that the Doris Tomb game world, including the real world, is just a playground for some gods. The omniscient and almighty who appeared first is just one of them, and the Demon Dragon King may also be one of them. The transformation event must be a decisive battle between the two gods. This is when they choose their position. By comparison, they believe that although the Demon Dragon King is being chased and killed by most people, but the strength has increased rapidly, and the Demon Dragon King has already taken action. The strength has been confirmed, and it is absolutely invincible. The comparison only hears the name. The omniscient and almighty God who does not see him is more reliable. Of course, the most important thing is that they can't go if they want to go after entering the demonized ship. I feel your loyalty. The dragon nodded. In return, I will give you the power to defeat the enemy and defend your honor. As the dragon spoke, his body shone a dazzling white light. The whole dry forest was illuminated. It was dazzling like a little sun. All the demonized people bathed in this light couldn't help groaning. So comfortable. This kind of light is the same as the pit in the Blizzard City ruins, but it's much stronger. It's like the warm sun shining on me in winter. It's like the gentlest lover is touching my body gently. The brain can't help it. Brother Hao on one side jumped his eyebrows when he heard this. Damn it, this literary talent, this metaphor, a lot of books to read, is a close enemy. Under this strong light, the surrounding trees that had already turned into coke unexpectedly changed. Some festered, while others grew strange fungus plants. The white light lasted for half an hour before it ended. The gathered demonized players found that they had once again entered the advanced stage of demonization. A few did not show a happy look, but showed a worried look. Needless to say, I also know that it is the players who failed in the second stage of evolution. They have failed once or twice. Can a different miracle happen this time with His Majesty the Dragon King? Of course, it was more excitement. Several guys were hugging each other with joy, jumping and jumping. Their strength will be improved again. Among them, the ooze monster was crying with joy. The slime on the top of the head kept dripping and melted back into the body. Too good. I finally have another chance. Hope this demonization can free me from this body. I want my eyes. I want a world with distinct colors. I want my limbs. Come back. Oh roar. Oh roar. I actually want to start evolving too. Please, Your Majesty the Dragon King, give me a healthy body. It's okay without limbs. Give me a clever tongue and I can live. The ghost-like, demonized man prayed like this. Just as these demonized people were delighted, the dragon spoke again. The process of demonization is slow. You stay here, and I will bless you temporarily. Yes, we will all obey Your Majesty's will. Demonized people responded. For the next few days, Shillong irradiated them with radiation every day. Part 2. These demonized people are mutating. Some people collapsed and died, while others continued to mutate. And those demonized people who had failed before found that their demonization process, even with the Demon Dragon King's side, still did not change in the slightest. Among them, the ooze monster and the ghost have evolved successfully. The ooze monster discovered that he had the ability to swallow foreign objects. After swallowing some materials, its skin can also become the swallowed materials. Take steel, for example. After swallowing, its original muddy body will become a steel body. The defensive ability is comparable to that of a Tier 9 monster. But this swallowing is not a panacea. For example, gold cannot change its body, such as diamonds. Otherwise, its body will turn into a diamond, and it will be hard to hurt it even with an ordinary rank 10. Shillong guessed that it might be related to the density and hardness of the swallowed items. Gold and diamonds exceeded the upper limit of its body's simulation. Although it has become stronger, the ooze monster player is obviously still not satisfied. He feels that he is not much different from before. What a man should have, he still doesn't have it. As for the pale ghost, this guy is also lucky enough to advance, allowing his body to switch between matter and illusion. He was so happy and mad. He kept staring at Shillong and kept muttering, "Thank the Devil Dragon King. Thank God. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Thanks for the words of Doris Tomb World." Brother Monkey has also evolved, and his body in human form has suddenly become stronger, and his appearance has also changed drastically. The nostrils became enlarged, and black and blue hair grew on his body. From a distance, it looked like a black and blue orangutan. The level has become 8 and 3 skeletons. Brother Monkey was not particularly satisfied with this change, but he glanced at the ooze monster and the guy with only one head left and all other parts resembling centipedes. Brother Monkey is not dissatisfied, at least, he is still a male creature. The brain's head has become bigger. It's blue and blue. Everything inside is clearly visible. Streaks of blue flashes ran up and down in the intestine-like brain. Even the well-informed demonized person, some people have scalp tingling. The appearance is a bit scary, and the strength is equally amazing. There are 9 levels and 7 skeleton levels, except for the strongest under Brother Hao. As for the eagle head, he has also advanced. The body height swelled to 3 meters. With its wings spread out, it is 8 meters long, which is considered a giant. The hardness of the feathers all over the body is not inferior to that of steel. The strength also has the level of 9th and 2 skeletons. Finally, Brother Hao, demonized tier 4, in fact, the failure rate is quite high, but he still succeeded. The appearance has not changed much, but the strength and speed have increased a lot, and has an unexpected ability for Shillong, Longhua. That's right, this guy can turn into a dragon, become a fiery red dragon with a little black in it. The height is 25 meters. The length from head to tail is more than 50 meters. The wingspan is more than 70 meters. Possess the ability of poison and flame. In the non-dragon state, the improvement in strength is not high, only level 10 and 9 skeleton level. However, after being transformed into a dragon, it has reached the level of 11th and 7th skeleton level. This simply stunned the other demonized people, thinking that he would be the illegitimate child of His Majesty the Dragon King. Otherwise, why are you so awesome? Even Shillong was surprised. A human being evolved through radiation and finally became a real dragon? Or a dragon with legendary high-level strength? Incredible. Sure enough, does radiation evolution have unlimited possibilities? And Sillon also felt that the blood connection became deeper. He can even feel the other person's thoughts, such as, ha ha ha, unexpectedly, I became a real dragon. I really was the protagonist of the destiny. Lao Tzu is now being mixed under the Demon Dragon King for the time being, and he can definitely be mixed under one dragon and above all things. Maybe it can be stronger than him in the future, then turn over and become the master. Well, very disrespectful thought. But Shillong didn't care at all, because in addition to reading his mind, he found that he could actually consciously descend into the opponent's body, temporarily occupying the opponent's body. And this body, for Shillong, seems to be higher than Duan Tianhao. During the process of being invaded by Shillong, Duan Tianhao's consciousness still existed. However, at this time, he was like an ordinary person who had encountered robbers and robbers. He was bound and thrown in a corner. He could do nothing but see through his eyes, like a ridiculous outsider. For this reason, Duan Tianhao was desperate. Is this the price of gaining strong power and the bloodline closest to the Demon Dragon King? Sure enough, there is no free lunch in this world. Is my body about to be occupied by the other party? My money must become his money? My sister is going to become his sister? Will my little brother become his little brother? Just as Duan Tianhao's negative emotions exploded, the Demon Dragon King's consciousness suddenly retreated. Duan Tianhao was very grateful for this, and he took a heavy breath after taking over the body. Then, he found that the Devil Dragon King gave him a meaningful look, and Duan Tianhao was hard to understand the emotion contained in this look. His complexion is ugly, the dragon's body is no longer red, and the scales are dim. While observing him, Brother Monkey said strangely, "Brother Hao, what's wrong with you? Is your stomach uncomfortable? Did you eat your stomach? Want to go to the bathroom?" Ugh. I suddenly thought of a question. How does the dragon defecate? Where was his chrysanthemum born? Brother Monkey's brain circuit is very strange, and as he speaks, he doesn't know where it's crooked. But it still seems to be asking seriously. Brother Hao's complexion was more ugly than before, and the other demonized people on one side also looked at Brother Monkey with strange eyes. Why look at me like that? Are you not curious? Brother Monkey murmured a few words, then saw the human head centipede and said, "Brother, tell me about you. I'm really curious. Can you tell everyone share a few words?" The centipede brother was stared at by the monkey and hurriedly swung dozens or hundreds of his legs to hide. But Brother Monkey actually chased him directly and kept asking, "See Brother Monkey leave." But the brain walked up to Brother Hao and asked warmly, "Brother Hao, are you okay? Just ask if you need help. Everyone is brother." "It's okay. Thanks to His Majesty the Demon Dragon King. Although I have gained strength, this makes me very happy. But when I think of those failed brothers, I miss this stronger power. I feel distressed. Ugh, pity. It would be great if everyone was blessed to accept this power." Brother Hao has a look of regret. Naturally, he can't tell the truth. "Oh, is that so?" The brain was taken aback, and then he suddenly said, "As expected, the dragon body evolved. The hero who has the bloodline power closest to the Demon Dragon King. This mental awareness is high. Alas, brothers who fail, don't be discouraged. From now on, we will all be our own brothers. We are blessed and shared. We are both in trouble." When the others heard this, they were all in a daze, and several of those who failed to advance in the advancement cast grateful eyes at Brother Hao. Those who succeeded also began to quietly comfort those who failed, and for a time there was a pulse of warmth. In the following days, the players who completed the demonization continued to be demonized, and some of the failed players dispersed, while others remained here. I don't know how long it took. Brother Hao wants to go offline. After reporting to Shillong, he disappeared. Originally this was normal. Shillong had been watching them go online and offline for a few days before being demonized. Part 3. But this time it was different. Shillong found that the magical connection between himself and Duan Tianhao had not been broken. At the corner of his mouth, a small opening slowly grinned. Real world. Inside a luxurious villa, Duan Tianhao opened his eyes from his big bed and glanced at the woman beside him, Xiaoli. The woman is still in the game, and Brother Hao quickly shakes her up. The sober Xiaoli smiled and asked, Brother Hao, are you hungry? Don't worry, I'll get you food right away. Brother Hao nodded. Watching Xiaoli leave the room, Brother Hao sighed. The game is occupied by the dragon and the body is occupied. Anyway, I have gained invincible power, and I will not go online. What can you do with me? Even if Doris Tomb is a special real world and I return to my own world, I don't believe you can still occupy my body. Just when he was thinking about it and preparing to wait for Xiaoli to return, he suddenly found that he couldn't move anymore. It's the demon dragon king. That guy took his body again. The breath that made him extremely hateful and fearful came again. But how is this possible? I have obviously returned to reality. Why can this guy still occupy my body? Brother Hao was horrified. His previous self-comfort was completely vanished. The king of the dragon, 10,000 times more terrible than he thought. The omniscient and almighty God, and the Dragon King, are real. They are all heaven-defying beings that can contact him in reality. What is the relationship between the real world and the world of Dora's tomb? After Brother Hao disappeared, Zero realized that he could still sense the opponent, and once again activated the ability similar to that of seizing houses. Part of his consciousness descended on Brother Hao. He looked at Brother Hao's house curiously. The whole decoration is very modern. All decorations and styles are very luxurious. The curtain was pulled tightly, without letting a ray of sunlight come in. Wardrobes, shoe cabinets, watch cabinets, car key cabinets are filled with various items, and the local tyrants are very much. Looked for a moment. The door was opened, and Shillong had just crossed over. The woman Xiaoli, who had seen him in Brother Hao's team, came over with a dinner plate. Is this his breakfast? The above things are not too complicated, but very delicate. A bowl of porridge, meat and vegetables, a cup of milk, and an unknown variety of fruit. Brother Hao, because you haven't shown up in front of the servants below. Recently, those servants are always squeaky and crooked, and they whispered me quietly, say I seduce you. Climbing into your bed makes you reluctant to get out of bed. Say I am a vixen. Really irritating. We obviously love each other sincerely. It's love than Jin Jian's true love. These people don't understand anything but they keep talking. Too hateful. While talking, the woman put the food on the side counter, and then walked to the side of the Hao brother who was possessed by Shillong. Near the back of his arms, he wanted to hold Shillong. But Shillong narrowed his eyes, and the body of the Hao brother he possessed had been demonized. Much larger than the woman Xiaoli, with one arm stretched out and his palm resting on Xiaoli's face, easily separating her. She couldn't get close even if she rushed from left to right. Woman, don't get too close to me. Huh? Brother Hao, what's wrong with you? Is this going to play the high-cold abstinence fan? But it's so cool, Xiaoli said with an idiot. Xylem ignored Xiaoli, and after pushing the woman away indifferently, he walked towards the door of the room, obviously to leave the room. Xiaoli was surprised when he saw this. Brother Hao, are you leaving the room? Wait a minute. I'll show you out. Make sure no one is there. Let's go out. No, no one outside. Xylem replied lightly. He went straight to the door of the room, opened the door, and went to the study room in the cubicle, where there was a computer. Seeing it, the corners of Shillong's mouth slightly cocked. Xiaoli squeezed into Wuxia World online and closed the door smoothly and said, Brother Hao, you want to check the information again and watch the forum? Yeah. Shillong casually sat down at the computer desk. Turn on a familiar computer. Start looking up information. Originally because of different planes, different languages and characters. In fact, Shillong of the great arcanist level can't be troubled at all. There are many magical arcane arts in Arcane, which can make him understand the text and language here in an incredible way. Through this kind of spell, the way the computer is used here can't be troubled by Shillong. He began to consult materials such as historical background, modern social forces, weapons, etc. Chapter 292. He found that this world was indeed somewhat similar to the Blue Star of the previous life, but it is smaller than Blue Star. The total human population is only about 1.8 billion. The technological level is almost the same as that of Blue Star. There are no space battleships, no mechas, only fighters and tanks, and the strongest weapon is called Thunder Fury. It is a weapon generated by highly controlling the amount of lightning in nature. Power is enough to destroy a small city. Of course, there are some heavy weapons such as conventional thunder missiles. The investigation only found these, but it does not rule out that the Alliance has hidden weapons. Shillong browsed a lot, and finally returned the control of this body to Brother Hao. And Brother Hao, who regained control of his body, was in a surprisingly bad mood. Even the scales on his face were dim. Brother Hao, what's wrong with you? You look upset? If you are upset, hit me. I'll make you vent your anger, Xiaoli said. turning around again, pushing his up, her watery eyes kept suggesting something. Damn it! Brother Hao cursed secretly, turned around and slapped Xiaoli with a palm. Ah! Xiaoli exclaimed, Brother Hao, why are you so hard? It hurts me to death. She was pitiful, with some tears in her eyes. I'm not in that mood now, you go out first and leave me alone. Brother Hao said coldly. Xiaoli saw that something was wrong, and quickly walked out of the room. Brother Hao was alone in the room, silent. Cut the main consciousness back into the original body again. Shillong is ready to give the world some hard stuff. His huge body slowly floated towards the sky. Some demonized people below saw this scene, and they were suddenly anxious. The brain yelled anxiously, Your Majesty, you want to abandon us. Are you away from us? Your Majesty, don't go. We can't live without you. A group of people roared. Some even cried loudly, This thigh can't walk. Shillong did not speak. His body continued to rise. It didn't stop until it submerged in the clouds, and then began to take a deep breath. A large swath of red golden light bloomed from his body, dye the entire sky into the color of red gold. It's so beautiful. A demonized person raised his head and looked up at the sky, and murmured unconsciously, What is Your Majesty the Dragon King doing? Are you showing your strength? Someone wondered. But no matter what these people think, the omniscient and almighty in a different space, but Milbo is sweating like rain. He couldn't be more familiar with this. This is here again? What does he want to do? No one will attack him at all, right? Does he want to use this attack to deter me? Milbo couldn't understand the other side's thoughts. Or revenge me? Revenge me against the demonized person? No matter what Milbo thought, in the world of Dora's tomb, the brain and other demonized people watched the bright golden light to the extreme, and then disappeared. Immediately after 100 kilometers away, a terrifying white ball of light appeared out of thin air in a clearing. The light was dazzling to the extreme. Many of the demonized people who hadn't prepared much had their eyeballs burned. They wailed and covered their eyes. Only a few can ignore the glare. They saw a pure white ball of light burst out, and then a mushroom cloud slowly rose from the ground. The terrible shock swept everything. The ground is shaking. But they are undoubtedly safe, because the distance is too far. All demonized people are like bystanders, watching everything, although safe, but shocking. Shocking. When a mushroom cloud slowly dissipated the cloud layer thousands of meters above, the sky where the demon Dragon King was shining bright golden light again. Again? The demonized players were slightly surprised. Then, as they expected, a terrible mushroom cloud burst out in the distance. Repeat this several times. The dragon in the sky instantly turned into a stream of red gold and disappeared. Your Majesty the Dragon King, you can't go. Didn't you say that we are all your heirs? Some demonized people were anxious, for fear that Synopsis would never appear again. They flew up to the sky to keep up with the king. But the speed of the two was not at the same level at all. Shijin's streamer instantly moved further and further away from him. When this demonized man chased out a few kilometers, the sky that was 100 kilometers away was once again dyed with red golden light. This makes the demonized person a little confused. Then he saw a ball of pure white light burst out again in the distance, and the terrible impact accompanied by white light. Your Majesty, are you playing a game? A game of growing mushrooms? But this mushroom is too powerful, right? Look at the ground being planted by you. Big pits one after another. This time tens of millions of NPCs and players are not allowed to die? Is this the strong? Regardless of whether you are happy or angry, with a little thought, you start growing mushrooms? Let thousands of people die with the wind. Immerse hundreds of millions of people in fear? King of the Dragon. Horrible. And in the unknown space. Milbo even roared, G-Brain. Don't you say that the possibility of him destroying the world is only 5%? Get out of here and see. What is he doing now? If this continues, he will kill all my puppets and players. The resurrection alone might cost tens of millions of faith points. My months of hard work will be wasted. Dear qualified person, please calm down. The other party did not cause too much killing. For each attack, he chose the place with the least life to attack. So far, a total of 5 pure white light. A total of 7,893 lives were killed and 35,679 lives were injured. Your loss of faith does not exceed 3,000. Huh? How is this possible? Milbo was taken aback. Are you bluffing me? In the previous outbreak in Blizzard City, it lost more than 6 million people and lost tens of millions of my beliefs. Please pay attention to those who are qualified. This intellectual brain does not have the function of lying. This is the case. Please watch those who are qualified. Wisdom finished. Several screens lit up in the void. The images played inside are all the images before being covered by pure white light. The vast majority are wasteland and sparsely populated. The screen is moving fast. The screen keeps jumping, and it is rare to see living things. Until the end, it was covered by pure white light. This is really weird. Milbo didn't want to understand for a moment, he murmured. I have been paying attention to the picture of the magic dragon, and it is still playing the terrible scene of the other party spraying pure white light everywhere and planting mushrooms. After planting 20 mushrooms, the dragon stopped, then returned to the previously sealed forest, which has now been burnt down by flames. Seeing Shillong's return, the demonized player who thought he was abandoned and had no thighs cried again. This time I cried with joy. Several of them wanted to rush to the devil dragon directly, holding his scale armor and crying, but they didn't dare. Each one looked at him with tears in his eyes. Your Majesty, were you just now? It was the head of the head that asked the first question. As the former leader of the demonized organization, he must speak. This is the responsibility of a leader. The brain thinks so. I'm just looking for some companions for you, so that you will not be bullied. Asylum replied simply. Exclamation point. His head was taken aback, and then it seemed to think of something. Inside the big head, blue firelight was shining. A pair of eyes were dyed blue, bright and scary. Your Majesty, you really care about us. Your attack just now must be an announcement of your existence to the world. While deterring the enemy, it also allows all your companions. Everyone knows that you exist and come here to seek your asylum. It must be so. Your wisdom really shines like a starry sky. So it's like this. Part 2. A group of demonized people heard the speech of the brain, and they suddenly realized, it's the brain? Asylum was a little surprised by this. He just simply wanted to use the radiation after the nuclear explosion and the radiation belt to create radiation people. But after being interpreted by the other party, it seems that what I did indeed play a role in the other party's mouth. Immediately he nodded, approvingly said, yes. Sure enough, Your Majesty, your wisdom is too lofty. It's far beyond what I and other things can match. The brain looked admired. Then, as before, Shillong began to irradiate these demons with radiation. At the same time, the consequences of Shillong's nuclear explosions began to play out. Almost all of the world of Dora's tomb, 50% of players and NPCs have found themselves in a special state. Tinnitus, chi deficiency, weakness of limbs, dizziness, and diarrhea. Then came the abnormal change. The world is in chaos at this moment. Those who have not changed have accepted the task issued by the all-knowing and almighty God to fight and eradicate the abnormal, whether it is a player or an NPC. The whole world is in chaos, and some demonized players voluntarily exposed and recovered after being beheaded. But there are also those who are unwilling. They are very interested in demonization, even hiding, and some team up and fight with the demon hunting group. There are also demonized NPCs. Many of them were resurrected after being demonized. This is Milbo's extra kindness. Otherwise, he would be too lazy to resurrect as an ordinary person. But this time is different. If there are too many demonized deaths, it will have serious consequences for his rule. Because of this, there was not much abnormality among the NPCs. The main opponents are demonized players and non-demonized lives. This kind of battle is naturally the non-magicized side, crushing these demonized with overwhelming strength. I thought that the turmoil would end soon. But things are far from simple, because there are 20 potholes, which are 20 sources of demonization, and there will always be curious people entering them and discovering the mystery of demonization. Then because there were too many people, they couldn't hide it, directly exposing the fact that this place was the source of demonization. Let many players sneak past the demonization secretly. This gives the demonized player's resistance a slight follow-up motivation. The non-demonized people such as NPC quickly responded to this, and they began to send a large number of troops to guard. More than 20 legends, each guarding one side, only to suppress this anomaly. But soon, this balance was broken again. The king of devil dragons spews pure white light directly at the places where the heavy soldiers are holding hands. A total of millions of players and NPCs were killed this time. The morale of the troops who believe in the Almighty God is plummeted. As for the demonized troops, their morale was shaken. After those NPCs who believe in the all-knowing and almighty gods are resurrected, they will not forget the fear and pain of death, and ordinary people still retain fear of death. They might even have such an idea. Why didn't the gods come forward to destroy the dragon? Why not send messengers to destroy the dragon? Is it impossible or unwilling? Doubt is like a seed. It will continue to grow as long as it is planted. They began to doubt the omnipotent in their eyes. And the players' forum is exploding. They began to tout the magic dragon, thinking that its power, even the gods, could not defeat it. Of course, there are also refutations, believing that everything is necessary for the plot. During this process, Shillong discovered that his beliefs rose much faster than before, but within 2 or 3 days, it rose to more than 200,000. Well, 20 million from the target, which is still 100 times short. During this time, Milbo was so painful. That magic dragon shot on his army again. The resurrection alone cost him close to 1 million faith points. Since the appearance of this dragon, his belief point has not only not increased, but has dropped a lot. Doing useless work every day. His mentality almost burst. Of course, these are not the most critical ones. He finds that the faith he gains every day is decreasing, and the number of people who believe in him is decreasing. Sincere believers become shallow believers, and shallow believers become no believers. He is in a crisis of confidence. Milbo was helpless. He has no idea how to solve this disaster. Are you really asking him to go? It's no different from sending him to death. That evil dragon only needs one paw to squeeze him to death like a mouse. In addition, he also found a very critical problem. Why can the demonized players whose resurrection system was broken by him can be resurrected? He saw with his own eyes that after a day or two, the players who had been killed before joined the demonized legion alive and fought against his followers. This is not right. Wisdom Brain, tell me, why can those demonized players be resurrected? Milbo doubted Wisdom Brain, whether it was hiding something from him. This is because Shillong Soderbergh also possesses the power of faith. Where did his power of faith come from? He is the second qualified person in the world of Dora's Tomb Wuxia world. Online Milbo was dumbfounded, and it was a long time before he continued. When did he become the second qualified person? 1 hour after he appeared in this world. Asshole. Why do you want him to be the second qualified person? Why didn't you get my consent? Milbo was already roaring at this time, his face pale. He feels like he has been fooled by the Ji now. He was betrayed. My most trusted partner. Dip. The first qualified person did not ask. I don't ask. Wouldn't you just say it? Will not. You bastard. Traitor. Dog stuff. Milbo growled angrily and threw the ball of light in his hand to the ground. Chapter 293. The ball of light hit the empty ground, like a calm lake, and was thrown into a stone. Splashes of dark purple ripples. The ball of light bounced on the ground without any damage at all. Still white and flawless. Dip. It is a reminder that if the first qualified person wants to destroy the original intellectual brain, it is impossible, and it needs a strength level of 15th. Advise those who are qualified to stop doing useless work. You second or fifth boy, do you know what stupid you did? You betrayed me. Betrayed your master. Milbo roared. Dip. The brain has no owner, and the brain only selects suitable qualified persons according to the program, so that they can realize the wishes of the creator, Dora. You heartless bastard. I have been with you for more than 5 years. How can you treat me this way? Do you know? Me to my ex-girlfriend. And my parents are not so much better. Die. Dear first qualified person, the original brain is a mechanical life, and there is really no heart and lung. Ah? Milbo roared to the sky. This thing? Are you going to me off? Then he stepped heavily on the ball of light, venting his anger and depression. You bastard. Why don't you just let the magic dragon go directly? What are you doing with me? Dip. All behaviors of the original wisdom brain act according to the rules. You are the first qualified person, and he is the second qualified person. Only when the other party meets the requirements, the original wisdom brain will completely compete with the first qualified person. Separate and follow each other. You are such a mess. Milbo cursed for a long time, only a little calmer. He asked, tell me, as the first qualified person, what is the difference between me and the second qualified person? You have a higher level of authority than the second qualified person. You know the truth about the creator, Dora, and you have the ability to create puppets in the world of Dora's tomb. Then if I turn on the closed mode now, can that magic dragon be unlocked? Suddenly, Milbo asked. No. Enter closed mode and give up correcting operations on Dora's tomb? What will the final result be? He can do nothing except to resurrect believers who have died in battle. This is the ultimate method used only when the mountains are exhausted. Is now the time for the ultimate? Have I been exhausted? Milbo was lost in thought. For a full day and night, for 24 hours, he stared at the screen of the lower realm, although his followers were still hanging the demonized player. The number of people has an overwhelming advantage, but the demonized players are slowly expanding. After the original demon hunters were killed, many people are envious of the power of demonization, so they join. An NPC, even if it is resurrected, will have some doubts about him as a god. The most important thing is that he, as a god, did not make any moves at all, but the magic dragon has made many moves and wiped out thousands of people. This is a huge hidden danger, deterring all NPCs. Now, it seems to be the final moment. Intelligent brain, activate the closed mode and completely exclude the dragon from my world. Milbo was very calm, much calmer than he thought, like a pool of stagnant water. Dear qualified person, as long as you give up guarding the pure white pit, the dragon will not attack any puppets. Are you sure you want to start the closed mode? Jinao's cold voice sounded. I have no choice. To continue like this is just a chronic death. There will be more and more demonized people. My believers will be completely desperate. Only by repelling the most poisonous tumor, I have a glimmer of hope to come back and let the puppets kill all the demonized people. Milbo made up his mind. Closed mode. Start it for me. Immediately. Immediately. Follow your instructions. DDD. Nether. There are more and more demonized people around Shillong. Perhaps it was notified by others that this is the pure land of the demonized people and has absolute safety. So many players in the demonization have come to take refuge. Thousands of demonized players have already gathered at this time. They gather to discuss life, explore the future, and demonize. Although they are discussing demonization, those who are still in demonization among them do not know that they will be demonized as well in reality. Many people just find it interesting, because in the first 5 years of the game, only the omniscient and omnipotent existed, and all of them were obedient to this god. Now suddenly there is a hostile, which will make the players feel very strange. And many of them have been demonized, but with a certain maliciousness, they will not tell players in the advanced stage of demonization the situation in reality after demonization. They need companions. Real fellowship, the same companion on the same boat. In the hearts of these completely demonized players, only after the first demonization can they be regarded as their own. This also caused 2 large groups of people to be separated here, the demonization completed and the demonization in progress. Shillong's role in this group of people is just a protective umbrella. He lies on the ground with his eyes closed, and he rarely speaks to them. The demons didn't dare to approach him either. Although Shillong's performance was fairly amiable, and was the devil dragon after all, and their big boss, the most basic awe was inevitable. Time passes slowly in this process. It wasn't until Shillong's huge body seemed to lose gravity and float towards the sky that the calm was broken. A weird and powerful force restrained Zero, causing him to float up involuntarily. The speed of floating is very fast, about 100 meters per second. On the one hand, the new demonized people were surprised to see this situation, and quickly asked the old demonized people on the other side, "Brother, what's the matter with your majesty? Is he leaving us? I haven't completed the demonization yet. Those NPCs killed. What should I do when I come here?" At this time, those old demonized people said to them with earnest words, "Calm down. Your Majesty the Demon Dragon King is just about to start growing mushrooms." Grow mushrooms? How to grow them? The newcomer was curious. Mushrooms, their roots are big, round and bright, and their heads are gray. Each one is several kilometers in diameter. Haven't you seen it before? Brother, are you kidding? How can the mushroom be so big? Why is it impossible? You can demonize, isn't it all due to these mushrooms? The lifespan of these mushrooms is very short, but after they appear, they will turn into a stream of energy and be absorbed by ordinary people. As a result, a demonized person appeared. Do you understand? The newcomers will be taken aback at this time, and then suddenly realized, "Brother, you are talking about the pure white light that destroys everything, right? You finally understand." At this time the old people would pat their shoulders. Then he smiled and said, "Yes, your majesty is cleaning up the enemy and expanding the number of brothers." All demonized people looked at the dragon flying into the sky with admiring eyes. But they ignored the dragon's swaying limbs, which seemed to be bound by something very disgusting, which made him look unhappy. Zero wanted to break free of this power, but found it was useless at all. This power was very similar to the power that repelled him from the main material world before. Why is the world not repelling it early, not repelling it late, but now? Did the all-knowing and almighty God do it? He tried to use gravity to suppress himself and offset this repulsive force, but it was useless at all. His body was still floating upward. It's 10,000 meters in the sky now. Here, he could easily see some familiar faces on the ground. The 20-odd Tier 10 legends killed by him appeared again. At this time, he was lying in ambush more than 10 kilometers around the demonized man. This seems to be a premeditated attack. Just wait for him to be repelled, and then launch an attack? Asylum roared. Part 2. The thunder-like roar shattered the clouds. Even if they were tens of kilometers apart, they were clearly audible. Vertically below, among the demonized people who were only 10 kilometers away, several were dizzy by the roar. But the people ambushing more than 10 kilometers away were all overjoyed. Among them, the all-knowing Pope was with several bishops, and from a distance, he could see the magic dragon floating into the sky in an irregular manner. At this time, I heard this dragon roar that seemed to be full of anger, knowing that this must be their god. Really, God is omnipotent. He easily settled the dragon. And those demonized people are purified by the believers of God. Everything before, battle, death, resurrection, everything was tested by God. What? The great omniscient and almighty God. Your power is more dazzling than the big sun in the sky. Roar. Asylum roared again. The body began to swell. Become a dragon that covers the sky from head to tail, over 150 meters, with a wingspan of more than 200 meters. At this time, the distance from the ground was close to 20,000 meters, and the people underneath could not see the enlarged dragon at all, but could only faintly see a small black spot. So they have no idea what they are about to face. The dragon rotated its body, making its hind limbs seem to be standing above the void, with the huge dragon's mouth aimed downward. The black scales on his body began to redden, flickering, and dimmer. A large amount of heat radiated from the dragon for a moment, and then immediately disappeared. The energy supply organs in the body began to work. A huge red-golden energy ball appeared in front of the giant dragon's open mouth, which was only about 1 meter in diameter at first. But immediately, it started to inflate like an inflated balloon. But in the blink of an eye, it became a huge sphere with a diameter of 5 meters, and after a few more breaths, it expanded to the point of 100 meters in diameter. Even at an altitude of 10,000 meters, it is equally conspicuous, looking like a real small sun. The horrible flame energy contained in it can be clearly felt by mortals who do not know magic. When the all-knowing Pope on the ground saw this, his heart was a little stunned. We will not die again, right? The great omniscient and almighty God. We can all act according to your will, please bless us. And the veterans of the demonized players, after seeing the sun ball, they were shocked and said to the new humans around them, "See it? That is your Majesty's stunt, pure white light. This action may be a little big. The earthquake comes later. Stand firm, don't fall. Let people see the joke." Oh. The newcomers will nod their heads at this time, showing their admiration. Roar. With the last dragon roar that resounded through the world. Starlight extinction outbreak. This is the new method of Shillong's name, not a star of a star, but a star of a star. The little sun in the sky burst out a strong light instantly, then burst. It turned into thousands of extremely tiny red gold raindrops, scattered in all directions in an instant, like thousands of streams of light. There is a different kind of beauty in the entire sky, which is a beauty that no one has ever seen. Countless red gold streamers began to fall. The direction they land is not the enchanted troops directly below, but the ambush army surrounding the enchanted troops. It seemed that something was blocking in the middle, and all the light detoured and fell. The ambushed troops on the ground, those strong men stood upright one by one, and the great crisis enveloped them. The unsuspecting soldiers looked at the beautiful sky in a daze. Because the scenery is so beautiful, they have never seen it since they were born. Run! A wild cry came out from the mouths of those who knew that the dragon was terrible. They began to run wildly. But the streamer is too fast, but within 2 or 3 seconds, it has already landed. A whole number of tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of streamers, directly obscured the sky of tens of thousands of troops, a piece of gold. The density is even greater than that of ant nests. There is no way for all humans to escape. The terrifying roar broke out in an instant. The slow reaction ones are directly hit by the streamer and fried into minced meat. Responsive, even if the defensive cover is opened, it will be instantly broken and then flooded by the streamer. The time they die is not even separated from other people. And those who are stronger, such as the 10th-tier powerhouses such as the all-knowing Pope, they did not live longer than others. With their defensive capabilities, they are indeed stronger than ordinary people. They can resist 10 streams and 100 streams in an instant, but they cannot resist 1,000 streams. Because all the streamers fall at the same time. The difference between the first falling light and the last falling light will not even exceed 0.0001 second. This is a torrent of light that cannot be resisted at all. And want to escape? That is also impossible. Because everyone is completely unable to escape from this dense and terrifying beam matrix. It covers several kilometers around. Everyone. All died in an instant. These guys in ambush, on average, each person will be bombarded by thousands of streamers in an instant. No matter what kind of effort, it is just a waste of thought. The roar comes quickly, and it goes quickly. The moment you hear the roar, it means the end, and the light of this flourishing age has disappeared. It even makes the demonized person watching the show feel unreality. Until a strong vibration came from the ground. It came from a place that was destroyed by the streamer more than 10 kilometers away. Booming, a new demonized person could not stand firmly under his feet and fell directly to the ground. The enthusiastic brain quickly pulled up the newcomer. He who thinks he is the right-hand man of His Majesty the Demon Dragon King is obliged to help these newcomers who are in difficulty. Didn't you say it all? Do you want to stand firm? The brain said softly, with gentleness in the words. Is this the pure white light of your Majesty? Why does it feel different? The newcomer felt that the other party's tone was a little strange, but still asked, "What is your Majesty? Who is he attacking?" It's really not the same, but the effect is great. The brain paused after speaking, and then said, "Your Majesty must have his use in doing this. I'm sure there must be many members of the demon hunting group in ambush around us. Do you understand?" Demon hunting group? We stay by the side of His Majesty the Dragon King. They dare to ambush us. The newcomer was surprised. We are by your Majesty's side, They naturally dare not do anything to us. But when we leave, they just need to wait and see. Wait for us to deliver them one by one and get rid of them one by one. The brain analyzes. Yeah. The newcomer's eyes lit up, and it suddenly dawned on him. Hi. Really hi. Brother Brain. You deserve to be praised by your majesty. This wisdom is not comparable to ordinary people. It can be called your majesty's brain. Hey, what is your majesty's brain? My wisdom is far worse than your majesty's. Don't talk nonsense. The brain waved his hand quickly and denied the other party's name. But the pride on the face has not been concealed. Well, your majesty's brain, this is the name that the brain quietly releases in order to make oneself appear to be closer to your majesty. No matter what, brother now, your wisdom is far superior to everyone. You can see through what others can't. This is the performance of a wise man. Exine human Tao. Ha ha ha. Ordinary average. The brain was humble and continued. At that moment, your majesty is clearing the enemy. I guess this time hundreds of thousands of enemies died in his majesty's hands. A sad person must have something to hate. Why is he unwilling to avoid things that can be avoided as long as he joins the demonized army? How stupid. Stupid out of reach, the newcomer scolded. The two chatted for a while, for a few minutes. The sky didn't even continue to hear any movement. Part 3. The newcomer was surprised and asked, Brother now, why don't you think your majesty has come back? Is there something wrong? He was a little uneasy. He had been demonized several times before, but without exception, all failed. Originally staying by the devil dragon, 100% successful, became uncertain again, which naturally made him a little worried. Don't worry, your majesty, this is going to give some other places. This has happened before. I will be back in 10 minutes. He is just showing his power to the world. Calm down. I guess it won't be long before the forum will explode again, and the entire map will be rewritten again. The brain looks like it had expected everything. Oh, I understand. Shinran said. Time is passing. After half an hour, the newcomer asked, Brother Brain, where's your majesty? Don't worry, the longer you leave, the greater your majesty's actions. The bigger people will feel the horror of your majesty. The old brain was there. Brother now, it's reasonable. 3 hours later, there is some disturbance in the demonic group. Have you left for too long? Did he abandon us? Your majesty doesn't think we are too wasteful. Don't you want us? I haven't completed the demonization yet. Your majesty is leaving. Won't you be killed by the demon hunting group again? A group of people are very anxious. Quiet everyone. The brain spoke again at this time, and blue light flashed on the brain. Although the sound is not loud, it can reach everyone's ears clearly. Everyone turned their heads involuntarily to look at the brain. Doesn't everyone feel ashamed of their words? This is your majesty testing us. As a member of the organization, don't you feel that your performance is too disappointing? Your majesty just left for a while to see what you are now. It's almost like an unweaned child. We are demons beyond mortals. It is the advanced body of humanity, is the future of the world, the elite of the elite. Your majesty must be watching us from a height of tens of thousands of meters. Quiet down for me. Show the qualities that an elite should have. That's it. Brother now is right. Everyone suddenly felt reasonable. It's worthy of the brain after the demonized brain. This intelligence is not comparable to us at all. The demonized people surrendered. Okay. Seeing this, the brain nodded with satisfaction. As long as I am there, there will be no waste that can't be brought with you. Your majesty, just watch it in the sky. We will never panic because of your temporary absence. Outside the world of Dora's tomb, here is an infinite void, no starry sky, no planets, and no shining stars. Quietly silent. The huge black gold dragon that fully showed its body was lying on a huge blue light curtain. This is the barrier that protects the world of Dora's tomb. Orbit. The dragon slapped against the light curtain with its own paws. Tens of millions of tons, or even hundreds of millions of tons, are enough to smash a claw of the earth, but only ripples on the blue light curtain. Shillong, who did not believe in evil, slapped continuously. But it still has no effect. Dear second qualified person, your current power level is 14. If you want to completely destroy this enchantment, you need to keep beating for about 200 years. Huh? You came out again? Synopsis was taken aback when he heard this. I have always been by your side, the second qualified person. As long as you say my name, Doraji now, silently, I will appear. Tell me, what is going on now? Why am I here for unknown reasons? This is a closed mode, created by the creator to prevent the world of Dora's tomb from being destroyed, and all life above the 10th order will be excluded. Did the first qualified person do it? As expected, he is a waste. He, who has no other way to me, can only use this method to restrict me. It is ridiculous. Shillong smiled disdainfully. He slowly flew to the rear, about several kilometers, and then stopped. The scales on the chest opened, and wisps of red golden light began to shine. Wuxia world. Online dear second qualified person, please stop this meaningless attack. Annoying electronic sounds kept ringing in Shillong's ears, but he ignored it. He doesn't have much trust in this brain, so how can he listen to the other party's words? If you haven't tried it, how can you know that what you are doing is useless? A golden ball of light soon spouted from his mouth. Straight on the barrier below, a large group of dazzling pure white light burst out. The light ball bursting out in the void has no mushroom cloud, no shock wave, only that endless light and heat. Chapter 294. The blue enchantment swayed until the white ball of light disappeared. These dazzling pure white lights and the extreme high temperature did not disappear, but like smoke, drifting back and forth outside the entire enchantment. These are the light and heat that can bring people to death. As long as ordinary creatures are swept by smoke, they will instantly turn into ashes. It was not until the light and heat came to the dragon that they were sucked into the body by the dragon. Here I want to talk about the difference between giant dragons and humans. Humans breathe air, while giants breathe energy. The microenergy hidden in everything. Their breathing and eating are useful. They are all taking energy from the outside world. As long as the energy ingested from food is sufficient, the dragon will not breathe or die. On the contrary, as long as the energy is ingested in the breathing, it does not matter if the dragon does not eat. Of course, ordinary dragons cannot meet their needs in a single way. After all, the energy they can extract is extremely scarce. The dragons are not picky about the food they eat, because their esophagus is extremely digestible. But he is very picky about the energy that breath enters the body. In addition to the energy corresponding to their own attributes, they can only breathe very few trace elements. So most of their energy comes from food. Shillong is different. His breathing ability is very strong. Except that he hates water, he can breathe almost all energy for his own use. And his scales also have the effect of absorbing energy, which includes sunlight and so on. This is why he basically doesn't need to eat. Therefore, even in a chaotic environment without any energy, Shillong is the ultimate creature. You can also live by self-sufficiency. Since you don't have to worry about being unclear, then continue to think about the question just now. The power of the breath just now is definitely above 50 million equivalent TDT, but the specific effect is not much. This made Shillong a little surprised. Maybe this is the barrier arranged by the true god? Different from the pseudo-god of the first qualified person, or the omniscient and almighty god. After all, judging from his current strength, it is absolutely far surpassed by a demigod like Suffren. According to his current strength, Shillong feels that it should not be difficult to fight 4 or 5 Suffrons. With this level of strength, Shillong didn't know what strength he was. Is it true? But recalling what Bahamut had said before, Shillong felt that he hadn't achieved it. That is between the demigod and the true god. He didn't know what exactly it was. And according to his current energy reserve, he can continue to come 28 times to calm his breath. Well, when I left the world below, the explosion of starlight extinction actually consumed energy equivalent to a nuclear calm. 28 nuclear halts. Can this barrier be broken? Xylem didn't know, but he was the kind of dragon who would do it when he thought of it, and he didn't hesitate for long. He continued to breathe fragrance. Huge of light continued to erupt. 20 times. The eruption of the true body completely, placed in a small world like Dora's tomb, was enough for him to wipe out all the people on most of the planet, but the barrier never disappeared. Endless light and heat have enveloped the entire sphere. The entire planet of Dora's tomb world seemed to be wrapped in flame hell. Independence from the world. It's still peaceful inside. Dear qualified person, with the intensity of your attack just now, if you come 9,769 times, you may be able to break the barrier. Do you want to continue? The cold electronic voice said again at this time. Shillong didn't answer immediately. The 20 strikes just now had different directions to attack, but they were completely useless. Perhaps wisdom said it was reasonable. Shillong believed the other party a little bit. You won? I believe you. Tell me, how can I get rid of this barrier? Dear second qualified person, there are 3 ways. First, become the real master of the brain. Second, waiting for 300 years, the enchantment energy is exhausted. Third, never stop offensive. The second and the third are eliminated. One has to wait for 300 years, and the other is enough for me to vomit for decades. Even if it keeps venting and vomiting, this kind of thing is only done by fools. Lao Tzu's time is very precious. Tell me directly how to become your real master. Shillong said without hesitation. Lao Tzu is only about 50 years old today. How could he be wasted here in the best years of his life? Especially here is not the energy needed for his growth. Although there is still the Godhead fragment of the Lord of Dawn providing energy for the time being. But this is not a solution. Without the nutrients needed for growth, it is not what he wants to chew on the old man. This intellectual brain, this is 100 tricks ahead of me to be his master. He smugly touched the scales on his face and continued. Fortunately, You can follow such a promising master as me. When you encounter other intellectual brains in the future, it will be enough for you to brag to Scrap. Ji now was silent. It took a long time, as if I didn't hear it, and continued to use its cold electronic tone to say, "Respected second qualified person, as long as you gather 20 million faith points, activate the seedlings of the gods, and then collect 10 billion faith points. According to the procedure, the brain will recognize your master status." 10 billion beliefs? Xylem was stunned. I only have more than 200,000 so far. Is it too far away from 10 billion? Honorable second qualified person, as the number of demonized people increases, the faith you gain will greatly increase and the time will be greatly shortened. Huh, not reliable. Do you think this can trap me? Naive. Shillong snorted coldly. This dog stuff. Lousy promised to let him be a little brother in such a high way, and he set up a lot of troubles, so I didn't let Lousy worry. He closed his eyes silently and stopped paying attention to the unreliable thing of the brain. I don't know how long it took. Shillong's eyes suddenly opened. The golden light inside flickered, bright and scary. Found it. His paws were filled with red golden light, and they penetrated into the void fiercely. The empty void, which was originally empty, was stretched and pulled apart like a plastic bag. Shillong's other paw also glowed with red gold, and he swiped it in. Then the two claws tore with force. The entire void was torn apart, and a dimensional storm mixed with various different elements poured into the void. This was a terrible storm that could make things die instantly and lose their consciousness, but Shillong completely ignored it. It plunged into the torn gap and disappeared, and the breach that had just been torn apart began to slowly recover until it finally disappeared. On a planet similar to a blue star, somewhere above the sea, except for the endless sea, there is only one steel cruise ship wandering slowly. This is a passenger ship. It is a vehicle for a group of wealthy second generations in the Alliance to organize a parade. It was noon, and the sun was shining brightly on the deck. Several pairs of young men and women were basking in the sun at the railings of the passenger ship, looking at the sea and chatting happily. A young man with black hair and blue eyes looked at the sea and said, "You all know, right? About the recent demonized person." "I know. My dad only informed me yesterday." "It's more serious than I thought," said another man wearing short sleeves and showing a strong body. "It is really unexpected that those demonized people will be demonized in reality, and they will be irreversible as long as they complete the first order. The world is going to change drastically. My father told me to be careful, including the existence of demons in this passenger ship. Their single strength is much stronger than ours. If they are crazy, we may die on this ocean." The demonized people, too disgusting. To be so ugly, they are willing to understand it. Part 2. Beside the two, a beautifully dressed young girl looked incredible. You women certainly can't understand, after all, what many men are after is power. According to statistics, every time the First Order demonization is completed, the strength of the First Order can probably be improved. This kind of strength increase speed is rarely resisted. The black-haired and blue-eyed man explained. Moreover, chaos is happening in the city now, and many demonized people are exposed, and there are conflicts with the army. These guys are not the usual guards who can pack up with guns in their hands. Many are not afraid of guns, causing heavy losses to the army. This world is really scary, but shouldn't it spread to us? The woman worried. It's hard to say. Who knows what will happen in the future? The black-haired, blue-eyed man sighed. Suddenly, the strong man beside him pointed to the sky a kilometer away and exclaimed, "That? What is that?" The strong man's voice was loud, and other groups not far away heard it. Everyone couldn't help looking at the sky that the strong man was pointing at. I saw the originally blue sky. It was like a plastic bag, stabbed in by something and torn. In the sky, a huge hole with a diameter of more than 20 meters appeared. A pair of huge black creature claws protruded inside, and there was occasional golden light flowing on the claws. What is this? Am I dreaming? Or is it still in the world of Dora's tomb? How could there be such an outrageous thing in the real world? The sky is torn apart? This is reality. Captain, go back, go back. There is a monster ahead. All the second generations were in chaos, and they screamed, like headless flies, everywhere. But there are exceptions. I saw the black-haired and blue-eyed man frowned and shouted loudly, "Shut up, all of you! We are the best among humans, not ordinary people." Everyone has studied and improved in the world of Dora's tomb for 5 years. Still so alarmed about the extraordinary power? It's really shameful. Among them, women entered the ship to inform the passengers and captain of the ship. Men prepare to meet the enemy with me. After he finished speaking, he raised his right arm slightly, and a huge fireball appeared on his palm, showing his superb spellcasting skills. There is no curse, like an instant. This technique, in the world of Dora's tomb, is definitely a 7th order high play. Influenced by him, Other people finally recovered a little morale and turned their eyes to the abnormality again. The chaotic pothole has become bigger. It was torn apart by giant claws. A stream of chaotic air blowing out from the pothole. The sky that was originally white has changed drastically. The sky was dyed red, purple, gray, black, and blue, all colors mixed together. It's like a big color plate. The air flowing in did not know what was in the space, and the reaction changed. Gray particles appeared out of thin air, and then slowly fell into the sea. A puff of gray smoke emerged from the surface of the sea, and ice floes appeared on the lake under the sun. Pieces of marine life under the ice surface leaned sideways and floated under the ice surface. Those falling gray particles are poisonous, very toxic, and with ultra-low temperature. Almost the moment it fell into the sea, it poisoned a large piece of marine life and solidified the sea. Looking through the sea, looking at the marine creatures that have already died, those eyes that are not stunned, everyone can't help but feel cold. Damn, what's the situation? The black-haired and blue-eyed man was also a little horrified at this situation. He quickly threw the fireball in his hand into the strange space. Call. The fireball seemed to have entered a weird world, shrank rapidly, disappeared quickly, and seemed to have never appeared before. Others also resorted to their own methods, and some used spells to blast the past. But whether it was ice, wind, or thunder, after the blast, they would disappear soon after. Others took out their pistols and shot them. These bullets did not encounter any weird things, but they did not cause any changes. The colorful world is spreading. The passenger liner is not in a hurry to turn around at this time. The colorful world quickly spread to the front railing of the cruise ship. Click, click, click. Layers of gray ice are all over the railing. Everyone on the ship was shocked, and some people fled to the back of the passenger ship in panic. Some jumped into the sea and fled. Of course, these are all weak. Some powerful wizards cast flying spells and have long since escaped. This includes men with black hair and blue eyes. The strong man is a powerful warrior. He climbed the railing and jumped into the sea. At the moment of contact with the sea, a foot stepped out, and a splash of water exploded on the sea. The strong man stepped on the sea with a powerful force, making a series of roars and leaving quickly. Kakaka, the gray ice is spreading, and some people who are not in a hurry to escape at all can only wait to die on the ship. The hapless guys who jumped into the sea suddenly realized that there was no way to escape. Some dived into the sea and were poisoned to death. Some swim and escape are caught up by the colorful world Wuxia World. Online ice. The entire huge passenger ship was frozen. Only those powerful fighters who can use flying spells and can run away by foot can barely escape. The black-haired, blue-eyed man turned his head to look at the change behind him while running away. The torn hole became bigger. A huge dragon head emerged from the hole. The eyes full of golden particles swept towards the black-haired, blue-eyed man. Let his breath freeze. The flying magic power that had been cast was messed up and almost fell from the air. Fortunately, he stabilized in time, but still looked at the dragon with some palpitations. Chapter 295. This is the Dragon King of Dora's Tomb World? How is this possible? Isn't that a creature in another world? Why does it appear in our world? Sure enough, everything is as his father said. Everything nowadays is a conspiracy from another world. They are about to attack our world. The speed of the black-haired, blue-eyed man's escape did not slow down, even faster. The huge and incomparable Dragon King's entire body was drilled out of the hole in the sky, and the man realized that he was much bigger than he thought. Bigger than the previous passenger ship. A huge shadow enveloped the sea, and after it appeared, the dragon did not pursue these fleeing humans. It's like human sea ants running around on the ground. Few people will pay attention to them. They will trample to death on purpose. The black-haired and blue-eyed man watched as the dragon descended on the ice. The thick ice layer broke up on a large scale in an instant, and then the dragon dived into the sea and disappeared. With the disappearance of the dragon, the horrible pit in the sky began to shrink, and the horrible air flow from the pit slowly decreased, and finally stayed above the sea as the pit disappeared. Drifting in the wind, although it is still terrifying, the rate of spread has been greatly reduced. The black-haired and blue-eyed man knew he was saved. While he was relieved in his heart, he quickly took out his cell phone and called his father, who was an alliance general, to report what happened now. Talking about Shillong, after he dived into the sea, he communicated with the intellectual brain of Dora's tomb. Hey, who claims to be Ji now? Are you still there? He knew that his body was marked by the brain, but he didn't clear it. It is good to have a chat when you are lonely. Well, when it comes to chatting, what about the evil before? Why does it seem that I haven't seen it for a long time? Obviously, I haven't burned every cell of my body with flames recently. Where did it go? Now Shillong actually missed it. After all, he was the only one who had been following him from the main material plane. Or is it that after reaching this plane, the tentacles of Cthulhu cannot reach? Forget it. Leave it alone. Yes, the second qualified person. Ji now answered at this time. Didn't you just say that I can't get out of that space? Then where is this place now? Xylem asked, with some mockery in his voice. The behavior of the second qualified person is beyond my expectation. He can actually travel through different planes without fear of spatial turbulence. According to my data, only gods can travel through physical bodies, and other creatures will be disrupted by space. When swallowed, all the physiological characteristics in the body will be frozen and turned into statues, completely stopping all signs of life. Heh, Xylem chuckled lightly when he heard the words, and then found an island where there was no human inhabited but an isolated island. Shillong was going to stay there temporarily. After coming to the island, he split up a part of his mind and reoccupied Brother Hao's body. Brother Hao, who was with a group of demonized people, has been very low-key since he watched Shillong ascend to heaven and disappeared. No, it should be said that he has been very low-key since he discovered that he would be occupied by the other party, and he has not taken the initiative to speak much. Most of the time, I look at the brain to establish prestige there and cultivate feelings with other demonized people. Brother Hao just stayed in the crowd. He would only say a few words when others were talking to him. Seeing the demon dragon disappeared for several hours at this moment and disappeared, the other demonized people were very anxious, but Brother Hao was ecstatic. This who occupies his own body. It's best to never show up. Anyway, he has got the power he wants. You people, can't you learn from Brother Xuehao? Take a look. Your Majesty the Dragon King disappeared until now, but how long has it been? I'm anxious, all of you. It's like giving birth to a baby at home. Can't you learn from Brother Xuehao? Suddenly, the brain mentioned Brother Hao, and everyone looked over. Look at what Brother Hao looks like. Don't be impatient or impatient. His face is as usual. This is the elite. It is our example. Why can Brother Hao become a dragon? The strength is so powerful? It's not because Brother Hao is steady. His Majesty the Dragon King obviously likes people like Brother Hao. Don't you guys understand? If you can do it like Brother Hao, maybe your Majesty the Dragon King will give you even stronger power. As the brain said, it was a little disappointed with the others. This is worthy of Brother Hao. His Majesty the Demon Dragon King favors a man. Really different response. The demon suddenly said, Brother Hao is too good. We have to learn from Brother Hao. A group of people praised. Brother Hao looked speechless. Who wants the favor of the Demon Dragon King? I want him to spoil him. That dragon is not as good as you think. It's so bad. I gained strength. But do you know what I lost? You superficial guys don't understand anything at all, and are still pushing here. Brother Hao was furious, but he couldn't say that he was praised like this, and he had to smirk. Just when he wanted to praise Shillong against his will, he found that his body was out of control again. This makes Hao Brother's heart full of despair and grievance. That is here again. He started playing with my body again. Damn it. This is obviously my body. Are you still here? An unfamiliar voice came from Brother Hao's mouth. The voice is completely different from the previous Hao Brother. The group of people around was taken aback, and the brain was even more confused about Brother Hao. Brother Hao, what's wrong with you? I'm not Duan Tian Hao. Why? Can't I even hear my voice? Shillong, who controlled Brother Hao's body, continued. The brain thought carefully. The sparks in his forehead flickered violently, and he thought about Ciro's words. You are your Majesty the Dragon King? The brain's reaction and thinking ability are very good. Just a slight comparison, it is found that the voice of Brother Hao at this time is 80% similar to that of Shillong, except that the voice is a little smaller and does not have the prestige before. The similarity is very high. Your Majesty the Dragon King? The people around were also taken aback. It's me. Shillong nodded. You are all separated. This world will be very dangerous recently. It is better to return to the original world. Danger? After the brain was shocked, he immediately reacted, and suddenly looked at Xylem with tears in his eyes. I understand. Your Majesty must be afraid that we will be affected. You are going to go to war with all mankind and seize a city that belongs to us for us demonized people? His Majesty, you are so kind to us. Fearing that our invincible power would hurt us, let us return to the original world to rest. I am so touched. That's it. After all, your Majesty's power is obvious to all. Every powerful attack is enough to eliminate everything within a radius of tens of kilometers. If there are too many enemies this time, they really can't take care of us. The eagle-head person reacted secondly, interpreting the information from the brain and explaining it. His Majesty. His Majesty. A group of demonized people were moved. Originally thought they were just an insignificant little soldier, but he did not expect that your Majesty considered so much for us. In order to let us suffer less death penalty, Ilong faced enemies from all over the world. Moving. The world of Dora's tomb is so good. They almost moved themselves to cry, with tears in their eyes. Shillong looked at this. Although his complexion did not change at all, he was extremely surprised. These people, what a talent. Especially you. Shillong stretched out his palm and patted his brain on the shoulder. This guy's body is actually very short, only about 1.6 meters, but this guy has been in a floating state, letting his height be close to 2.5 meters. Degree. Many people need to look up at him when they speak, and don't know if it is intentional. Part 2. But because of this, Shillong's outstretched palm can just pat the opponent's shoulder. With a light pat, Zero smiled. As expected of a brain-enhanced talent. Can actually guess my inner thoughts. I think you are half as smart as I am. Your Majesty. Your Majesty. After the brain was slapped on the shoulder by Zero, the whole person was excited, his body trembling, and the blue fire light in his brain seemed to break through the heavenly spirit cover. Looking at Shillong with hot eyes, his brain choked up. I shouldn't have praised you so much. Your wisdom is beyond my reach. My wisdom is far less than your Majesty in case. You don't have to be so humble. You are a rare talent. And what I admire most is talent. Xylem boasted again. Your Majesty. The brain called out affectionately, tearful eyes dim. Okay, go back to your own world quickly. Yes, we will all follow your Majesty's arrangements. After the brain had finished speaking, he saluted Shillong and quickly went offline. Others have learned the same way, and all the demonized people have gone offline. Until this time, Xylem sighed. He glanced at the distance, where he had just killed and resurrected the rank 10 powerhouses who came here. The first qualified person, even if you win this time, you can actually exclude my real body from this world, but it doesn't matter. I have entered the real world of the players, and it will soon become my queen. Garden, let's see you bye-bye. After Shillong finished speaking, he also disappeared in place. Although according to Jinao's meaning, he and the other party were all rejected, but he has never trusted the 2 or 5 of Jinao. No matter what he does, he naturally has his own thinking. Not long after Xylem disappeared, the rank 10 experts who had just been eliminated by him arrived again. This time they went to the gathering place of the demonized people in a fair manner, and did not flinch like before. They are full of energy now, awe-inspiring, the appearance of wanting to fight a battle. I have to ask why they are so courageous now. That's all because, after they were destroyed and resurrected, there told them that the Devil Dragon King had been exiled by the gods and would not appear in this world. Then they gave a death order to kill all the demons. At the moment they received the order, they went to the place where the dragons had sheltered a large number of demons. This time we definitely want these demons to know the power of the mainland's top powerhouses. Let evil lives be sanctioned by justice. But it's a pity. The evil demonized man was afraid of our power and escaped first? But it doesn't matter. They have many accomplices, and they are scattered all over the world. We want to destroy them all. All the strong men discussed it, leaving the Emperor and Law Sage to stay here for the time being. Others are preparing to embark on a hunting journey that will spread to the world. Of course, with the exception of these Tier 10 masters, almost all NPCs have received the demon hunting instruction, and then is the real hunting day. Those demonized people who are still in the game will be hunted several times more intensely than before. Back to the real world. Xylem opened his eyes, still in the luxurious room before. He came to the computer room again and started looking for some information about technology. About 2 hours passed. The door was opened directly. After Xiaoli came in, she hurriedly closed the door, and then said in a somewhat depressed, but very impatient tone, "Brother Hao, the big thing is bad. The big thing is bad." While she was talking, she walked quickly to Shillong's side, and her 2 small hands firmly grasped Shillong's thick arms. "The big thing is not good? Just tell me, what's the big thing?" Xylem replied softly while browsing the web. "Oh, you are still looking at these useless things so calmly." Xiaoli looked at Shillong's appearance, grabbed the mouse a little angrily, leaned over, and hit the computer with a burst of crackling. Shillong frowned. This woman actually squeezed me with my chest. Take advantage of me. Humph. Really cunning. Those female dragons did not take advantage of Lao Tzu so much. But he glanced at the other person's expression again. That anxious and full-hearted look seemed really anxious. Then he resisted not pushing the opponent away, and waited for a while. Xiaoli just continued, "Let's take a good look at this. You will know after reading it. This day, it's going to change." After she finished speaking, she clicked on a video. In the picture, a middle-aged man with a majestic appearance is sitting upright, wearing a military uniform. Shillong didn't know what level it was, but it looked quite advanced. "Hello everyone, I am Major General Mercury, and here I have a very unfortunate news to tell mankind around the world." The middle-aged man was unsmiling, and his voice was somewhat majestic. "The world has changed. The same as 5 years ago, even worse. Everyone should know the demonized person in the world of Dora's tomb. A while ago, the entire world of Dora's tomb was boiling. Now, he has begun to boil the star of life on which we all depend." You may be wondering why I say that. Many people only know the world of Dora's tomb. which allows us to learn the technology of another world Wuxia world. Online combat methods, magic. But I don't know that another world is also affecting us. For example, the origin of this demonized man incident is believed to be known to everyone. Shillong Soderbergh, the dragon from the world of Dora's tomb. This magic dragon entered the world of Dora's tomb with an extremely domineering attitude, defeating millions of players' coalition forces and more than 20 top powerhouses in the world of Dora's tomb with an invincible attitude. That's enough. This monster actually has the power to demonize humans. Even many people ridiculously begin to worship each other and take the initiative to accept demonization. Because of this, the world has changed. Just 10 days ago, at 20 o'clock in the evening on November 6th, our soldiers discovered a terrible truth. Demonized people appeared in the real world.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card or directly on my channel. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.